And good morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I am Glenn Clark. He is Griffin Bass, and we are here. Probably not quite as crazy as yesterday was. I had a fun day yesterday. I haven't enjoyed having Drew here mostly. Mostly.
What parts?
I mean, you still got to put up with the Drew of it all. Like, you still got to do that. But it was a fun day. It was a busy day. Appreciate everybody working with me because we had some stuff that we were working on for our next print issue of Pressbox. We'll tell you more about that coming up in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, you can still get to your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox, and pick up this print issue of Pressbox with Grayson Rodriguez on the cover, so make sure you do that. All right, coming up on the program today, a little all over the place. We're going to meet incoming Maryland basketball transfer Tafara Gapare. Coming in from Georgia Tech, power forward, 6'10". It's got an outside stroke. Going to give the Terrapins some much-needed front court depth to go along with Julian Reese. Derek Queen, we'll talk about it with Tafara Gapare. Also coming up a little bit later on in the program, we'll go to Bowie, make our weekly trip to the Bay Sox, visit with pitcher Trace Bright, who is one of the top pitching prospects in the Orioles system. And speaking of college sports, we've been doing some lacrosse this week because the quarterfinals are this weekend, and one of those quarterfinals right here, I mean, literally like right over our shoulders, Towson University, is going to be Syracuse-Denver on Sunday afternoon. They play that game at noon. It's the first of two quarterfinals at United Stadium on Sunday. And Billy Dwan. Now, this is a little bit uncomfortable for me because, for those who don't know, Billy Dwan, the son of the great Bill Dwan, and I believe that's how he ended up at Syracuse because Bill Dwan was with Dave Petramala, and then Dave Petramala ended up at Syracuse for a minute before he headed down to North Carolina. But Billy Dwan's uncle is Matt Dwan, who I, of course, work with over at Loyola, and I got to imagine that we definitely wanted to have Billy Dwan come join his uncle at Loyola. So it's a bit uncomfortable for me, a little bit awkward there, but he's off to a great start to his career.
I just don't like that they beat Towson last week.
Right, that's uncomfortable for you. I get that. Yeah, we'll talk to Billy Dwan, Loyola Blakefield alum, as he gets ready to come back home to play in the quarterfinals on Sunday. So a lot to do. All over the place, really. All over the place. Yes, we'll talk about...
Yeah, you feel foolish, I guess, right? Because you said that the schedules don't matter. It clearly...
They don't.
Well, until they screw the Ravens over, yeah.
All right. No, we're not doing that right now. Well, I can't wait to find out how they screw the Ravens over.
It's pretty obvious.
I can't wait.
It's pretty obvious what happened.
I can't wait to find out how that's the case. So I guess we'll talk about how the Ravens got screwed, according to Griffin, a little bit later on as well. There's been something missing from this board for the entirety of the season. And I have felt very bad about that because he's been the Orioles MVP. But at a point, and I appreciate those of you that have been playing along, I started to wonder if this would just become a season-long bit. And then at some point I wondered, like, do we almost force it to be a bit that even if he would have deservedly been man of the match, we just don't give it to him for funsies, just to continue to make it a bit all season long, like the way that Jimmy Kimmel used to.
Jacob Webb got some big outs.
Well, no, Mike Bauman was legitimately deserving of being.
Outs too.
Mike Bauman would have been the choice.
I guess we could do a dual man in the match.
Yeah, no, he would have been the choice if it wasn't this guy. And frankly, as I said on Twitter yesterday, just at the moment that we were ready to boot Mike Bauman off the team, and we all were, to be abundantly clear, every single one of us had made peace with, all right, well, Bauman's going to go when Grayson comes back. That's just the way it's going to be. Well, the last two times he's pitched, both Saturday and yesterday, he was absolutely critical in bridging the gap to give the Orioles an opportunity to win the game. Was better yesterday, I thought, than he was Saturday. Saturday, he was just more gutty. Like, I don't think he had a strikeout on Saturday. But really gutty efforts in back-to-back games from Mike Bauman that I don't know if that changes the plans. Like, I don't know that all of a sudden the Orioles say, well, we can't lose Mike Bauman. as I don't even know who the other option would be if they're not ready to put somebody else on the injured list. But the number of times that someone has appeared to be like at the death of their time on the roster or their time as a starter, and right at the final moment. I mean, this was Cole Irvin earlier this year. Cole Irvin was out of the rotation again just a couple of weeks ago until all of a sudden he's an all-star.
And is this just a symptom of this is what happens when you have a good baseball team? Like,
yes,
guys know that
part of it is, and like
their
again,
jobs are on the line
that's
every time.
The eternal question is, are these guys raising their game because they're feeling that pressure? And I don't know, because somebody would say it could go the other way. It could be what dooms you, right? Like the pressure gets to you. I don't know if that's the reason. But the number of guys that we have been up at, we were ready to DFA Ryan Mountcastle last summer. Of course, now that was different. He had vertigo and was apparently trying to hit 3 baseballs. Seems like not what you should be doing. But this has happened a number of times over the course of the last couple of years. We're right at the moment where it feels like someone is done. All of a sudden, you can't lose them. And I'm not saying that yet about Mike Baumann. I don't know if that's how I feel about Mike Baumann, but you got to recognize the last two outings this week, 2 massive performances in 2 games that the Orioles were trailing, and by coming in and gutting through and giving them multiple innings out of the bullpen, he allowed them the opportunity to fight back and win games. So, yeah, apologies to Mike Baumann that he didn't get to be man of the match either time. That's the way it works. I don't want to say it's always going to be the walk-off winner when there's a walk-off, but, you know, it's hard to top that moment. So finally, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and now there he is up on the board for the first time this season, our guy, Adley Rutschman. Did you really try to sneak the cow back on the board? Think that I wouldn't even notice?
What are you talking about?
Did you really try to do that?
You got a hit.
I mean, Colton Cowser is on the board. He wasn't man of the match yesterday, but he's on the board. Yeah, Adley Rutschman, finally man of the match, which is funny considering, again, he's been the team MVP this season. But finally gets to be man of the match thanks to, and he needed every centimeter for that to be a home run in the 9th inning. But it was. And the Orioles win 3-2 in one of the weirdest games I've ever seen.
I showed the video, by the way, courtesy of Masson.
Thank you. So a couple of thoughts about yesterday. It is ironic because it kind of speaks to the issue that we've been talking about, which is that they're not scoring runs if they don't hit home runs. For the Blue Jays series, and I get it only ends up being 2 games, they score 5 runs, all of which are scored via the home run. Of course, you add in Adley Rutschman's home run on Sunday, and I know they had the 2 late. I'm trying to remember how all of the runs were scored on Saturday. I wish I'm like off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember of all of the runs that have been scored in the last 4 games, how many of them have been via the home run, and it feels like it's overwhelming. So on Sunday, how'd they score the first run on Sunday? Because I know
there
Rutschman.
were only 2 home runs. I say only 2, but yeah, there were 2 home runs. Sunday.
Yeah, it's the first run on Sunday because I know it was not a home run. No, it was not a home run.
Was it Westbrook doubled and then? Maybe, or was it?
Westberg drove in the run. I think he drove it in.
Yeah. Okay. Westbrook drove in Santander.
Doubled to drive in Santander. So, all right, so now 5 runs over the 2 games against the Blue Jays. 6 out of 7 if you go back to Saturday, or Sunday. And then as you said on Saturday, they scored 5 runs. 5 runs, 2 of which were via home run.
And then, but Westbrook, walk off.
Yes, correct, but that's what the runner that was gifted to second. A runner that was gifted to second base. So they didn't really manufacture that run either. It was just they were gifted a runner on second base. So I'm not sure how to count that one. So I'm trying to figure out what the math is of how many runs they actually manufactured over the course of since Saturday.
I believe you got an RBI, so.
Right, no, but that's not a manufactured run. You don't get to have that just because you want it. Now, they might have scored a manufactured run if it had been in the 9th inning and Westberg had led off with a double. Maybe they would have scored the run anyway. I don't know, but they didn't, and we don't get to pretend like they did just because it's more fun that way. So they manufactured 3 runs on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. So in their last 4 games, they've manufactured a total of 4 runs. Now, I get it. They hit enough home runs. They were able to win 2 of those 4 games. That's not nothing. I'm not trying to be utterly dismissive of it, but I think we all know it's a problem. Is it going to sink them? No. And is it one that you believe that they're too good for it to continue to linger for a very long time? Sure. We can say all of the right things. By the way, why are they not playing baseball today? Can we deal with that?
Day off. Oh, because it's beautiful out, or?
Yeah, it's gorgeous out. It's been miserable all week. You get a gorgeous day. You need to make up a baseball game. Both teams are off, and they're just like, nah. And I get it. Like, the baseball players are opposed to losing off days. Like, they don't like doing it. But Jesus, man. It was miserable yesterday. What an awful day it was for baseball. And today, it's a perfect day to be at a ballpark. And we're just like, nah, we'll just play a doubleheader in July.
Got me excited for my game later tonight.
Oh, yeah? You got a big game tonight?
Play Hanover, so.
Oh, I got
going down.
I got the Carroll Manor Tides have a game at 6 o'clock tonight, too. So that's where I'll be watching the Tides. Look, man, 11 runners left on base yesterday. 11. Now, thankfully, the Blue Jays left 9 guys on base yesterday, too. So it worked out. But, look, it was a disaster. I mean, it was an utter disaster. The number of times the Orioles had a leadoff runner yesterday and weren't able to do anything with it.
It took like an incredible play from Vladdy and Danny Jansen to get the tag at home.
Well,
on the bunts.
If there was a tag at home.
I mean,
yeah,
I gotta call what it was, I guess.
I do think that they got that call wrong. Like, I do think the tag was missed.
I mean, it's hard to.
I understand that, like, I understand why it wasn't overturned, but it felt like they were really forcing well, we're not 100% certain.
If they had lost 2-1, I wouldn't have been saying the Orioles got hosed. Like.
I wouldn't have been saying they got hosed because they left 100 guys on base. That wouldn't have been the story of the game. I still think the call was wrong. There's a big difference between thinking a call was wrong and thinking you got hosed. Dude, you did that to yourself. You left 1 million guys on base. I thought it was fascinating that Brandon Hyde called out the fact that was not the call, that McCann did that on his own, that they took the squeeze off.
With 2 strikes.
And he went ahead and tried to do it anyway. Like, I thought that was a little interesting.
He got it down.
Now, he was still being effusive. He was not throwing McCann under the bus. He was like, look, man, he was trying to make a play to help his team. I don't think any of us knew that Santander was, banged up from the play at second base. So
running into the wall a few innings ago.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah, you should have caught it.
I always try to praise Santander defensively
and
try to say he's not a butcher, right? Like, and then, of course.
McCann is not making that play.
Well, he's had the opportunity to, and he hasn't. So, yeah, I'll give you that. But what a weird effing game where you get a home run to start and a home run to end and zip, zilch, nada in between. And obviously the problems continue for Cedric Mullins. To your point, yes, at least Colton Cowser did get a hit yesterday, so you hope that that might be a sign of things to come for Colton Cowser. You pray that might be a sign of things to come for Colton Cowser, but the Orioles have to make some decisions. Weirder that Austin Hayes comes in, doubles, and then has to come back out, and apparently Brandon Hyde said he's still dealing. Like, if he's at the point where he can't run the bases, why is he on the roster? What am I missing? Because it made no sense that he wasn't starting against a lefty, right? Like, why in the world would Austin Hayes not be in the lineup if he's on the team? And I guess you get your answer when Brandon Hyde says first of all, you got your answer when they pulled him for a pinch runner. And then when he says afterwards, well, yeah, he's still kind of dealing with it. What the hell is he doing on the team? Why would you be using a roster spot on someone who can only hit, who can't play in the field, and can't even run? It's a bizarro world, man. It's such a strange. Was it something that somehow he got re-aggravated after you activated him, and that was the problem? Like, dude, I am so perplexed by the Austin Hayes thing. And you can say, hey, did anyone really want Ryan McKenna on the roster anyway? So would you rather have an Austin Hayes that can't really do anything or Ryan McKenna? I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I am so ungodly confused by the idea of Austin Hayes being on the roster but not being able to do anything other than pinch hit.
Yeah.
Like, that is bizarro world type of stuff for me. Because, again, maybe this is Colton Cowser understanding that his moment might be about to expire. I hope that as he's at the death, that like he does the thing that all these other guys at the death have found. But I've said before, I think Austin Hayes should be getting that look again. I think it's time. I don't think you have enough of a track record on Colton Cowser to know that he's going to definitively snap out of it and go back to being something closer to the guy that you saw for a couple of weeks this season. Maybe he will, and I still think highly of him as a baseball player, but I am inclined, because I like Austin Hayes more defensively, and because you do have a track record with Austin Hayes, I'm inclined to try to figure that out. The subplot of the season, and we talked about this before the year, the subplot of the entirety of this Orioles season is the old guard versus new guard thing. There's the text, and then there's the subtext. And the subtext is, yes, they're trying to win, but they're trying to win while also you're dealing with this other thing. And what is the future? Anthony Santander is a free agent at the end of this season. Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes after next year. You want to win. And those guys have helped you win. And to a certain extent still do help you win. We're all dealing with the same thing with Cedric Mullins. We're totally good with the fact that they pinch hit for him yesterday. Completely good with it. And obviously it worked out significantly. Austin Hayes blasts a double. Say significantly, he didn't score, but, you know, he did his job. It worked out. And we all agreed with it in that spot. You couldn't just keep sending Cedric Mullins out there in big spots and hope that something was going to be different. But yet, tomorrow, when they have to play another baseball game, I know Stan. I saw Stan yesterday, and he was like, well, at some point, they're just going to have to let Hayes play center field. I'm like, I guess. I mean, I guess that's true that they're going to, but he can't play anywhere, apparently, right now. I mean, maybe that changes by Friday.
Yeah.
Maybe all of a sudden they wake up Friday morning and they're like, all right, can you run? Can you play in the outfield? I don't know, but I also don't know how comfortable they are with Hayes as the everyday center fielder. And that runs that you have to trust that Colton Cowser is going to perform better than Cedric Mullins has been performing in order to continue to leave him in left field. And I, of late, can't tell you that I trust that. I get it. That like the easy thing to say is, well, nobody could be worse than Cedric Mullins is. Fine, but you're still making your team worse. Maybe not overwhelmingly worse, right? But you're still making your team worse defensively. What is the trade-off offensively that you're getting for that? And if you were getting early season Colton Cowser, you say, hell yeah.
I feel like we're pretty close to maybe getting Ryan O'Hearn in center field now.
Man. Jesus. If you were getting early season Colton Cowser, you do it every time. But for recent Colton Cowser, the last 3 to 4 weeks of Colton Cowser, I don't know that that's worth it. Unless Cedric Mullins is in agreement, like, dude, there's something wrong. I gotta sit down. I gotta get away. I gotta, you know, if he's on board with that, like I've always thought they should be able to do like a mental health IL stint.
Bring back like the 7-day IL or something that they have.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be, but like part of like us accepting that mental health is real, and I have no doubt that Major League Baseball has put in mental health initiatives. I feel like they should be willing to talk about that and say when a guy needs a mental health break and acknowledges there might be something going on. And I know that everybody would just say, oh, then you're just trying to do that for a slumping player. Well, yeah, if it's affecting their mental health. By the way, I'm going to guess that certain guys would not be on board with it. And again, the guy has to be on board with it.
I mean, every position player has besides Santander and Mateo has an option. McCann and Urias don't have options either. So,
well, but
like,
I mean,
is
we're
there
still
any possibility of that where
of what
just
of
they
sending
use an
him
option?
down?
Yeah,
no. I mean, for what? To do what?
To reset. Like, how do we
reset on the IL? Reset. Get away from baseball for a minute. This is not you send guys back down because you genuinely believe that they could use still something fine-tuning. It's not fine-tuning for Cedric Mullins. There's something wrong. He's got to get away from baseball, I think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm diagnosing from a million miles away. And again, it also involves that I'm still torn because I don't like it when someone else plays center field. It's a problem. Now, you have the option to try to let Hayes do it for a little bit, I guess. But we're not going to pretend like Austin Hayes plays center field the way that Cedric Mullins plays center field. And again, I would feel differently about this if I was feeling good about the option that I would be doing this for in left field. I don't feel good about that. It's part of the if Cedric Mullins really believes there's a problem, the answer isn't Norfolk. The answer is take some time away. Let's talk. Get a weekend off to reset. They gave Craig Kimbrell a weekend off to reset, right? Take a weekend off to reset. If that doesn't do it, then let's talk about an IL stint, and maybe you run down to Sarasota for a little bit and just get away and whatever it is. But again, the player's got to be on board with that. And this is where if he's not on board and you come back and say, Ced, we're at a place where at some point if you can't get on board, we're going to have to send you down because it's that harmful, then that's the conversation. That's what you use as ammunition to try to get him to agree to taking some time away. But again, I'm still torn about this. Like, there's still center field at stake here.
Right. We're not. It doesn't feel like we're at the death, right? Like,
I don't. It feels like we're close, but part of the problem is, again, I would feel differently about this if it was the second week in the season and Colton Cowser was ripping the cover off the ball. You're trying to make a drastic move in order to protect Colton Cowser being in the lineup, and there's nothing of late that suggests that you should be making drastic moves to protect Colton Cowser being in the lineup. That is the tough part of this conversation. We all like Colton Cowser. We all think he's a good baseball player. We all like Moo. But the reality is not that you should be making decisions at the moment protecting Colton Cowser. And maybe that's an argument for somebody else getting an opportunity. Maybe that would have been the argument for Heston Kjerstad. I don't know. They seem pretty inclined to try. They certainly seem to think that there is something there with Colton Cowser, and they want to keep him out there. And I hope that proves to be the case. I hope they're right about that. But it's tougher for me to feel that at the moment. I'm just – maybe his at-bats haven't been as wildly unproductive as Cedric Mullins have, but they just haven't been good. And he's not a terribly high-level defensive left fielder. He's certainly not a butcher. He's not bad. I don't want to make any of those.
And he's still developing.
All of that is true. But this goes back to the winning versus developing thing that we started by talking about this with. If it was a bad baseball team, by all means. It's the same thing we just talked about with Jackson Holiday. If it's a bad baseball team, you 100% protect and make sure that Colton Cowser's out there every day. But they're not a bad baseball team. I am certainly at the place where I don't think that you can continue to have both of them in your lineup every day. I don't think you can do that. So is the priority your hope that Colton Cowser is still closer to being the guy that you saw for a couple of weeks? And so that's why you protect Colton Cowser? Or is the priority, but center field defense is, everybody knows that you want to have your defense up the middle, has to be strong as hell. And you're a worse baseball team if Cedric Mullins isn't playing center field. And if that's what you decide, I'm good with it. I know we all like Colton. We all want to moo. We all want to cow. We all want to do all that stuff. Milk. I get it. But they're trying to win baseball games.
Pasture.
It's fun. It's neat. I understand all of it. I am in no ways negative towards any of it. And I get why it complicates the conversation. I do, because it's fun. But is it real? I don't know. it feels like you're at the death for both of them being in the lineup every day. That's what it feels like to me. And I do get the sense that you would lean, hey, Kauser's going to be here for a long time. We don't think Cedric's going to be here for a long time. So, like, maybe that's why you value Colton Kauser over Cedric Mullins and who's going to stay in the lineup every day. But I just can't be as dismissive about center field defense as some of you want to be. Like, it is every effing time someone else plays center field, the first thought you have is, nope, get the other guy out there. Get him out there. And we'll live with it. But you can live with one of them. And to the point, like, you can't – I thought it was a mistake on Monday to keep putting them up there in big spots. Like, in the ninth inning, I got to put anybody else up at the plate. And if you're putting somebody out there because of their defense, then you have to acknowledge that. And it feels like, again, showing deference to Cedric, they haven't wanted to pinch hit for him in those spots because they want to still show, hey, we believe in you. So I did think it was significant yesterday to finally say, okay, enough of that. Enough of we believe in you. And go get him, Cedric. We're recognizing what's going on, and we're sorry, Chief. Just, of course,
Does it get to a point where you want them to start bunting again? And like,
I've definitely felt some of that. Like, it's a difficult thing, right? Because teams are going to expect that, and I haven't looked every time to see where they're positioned for Cedric. But, yeah, I've definitely felt like maybe something to get going. I mean, we also have to acknowledge there was a weekend there this season where he was Cedric Mullins. I am not – man, I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I cannot solve all of these problems. But I just don't think you can continue to put both of those guys in the lineup.
What is that? What is that analogy?
You're not an expert, but like there was a line of commercials where,
oh,
are you a doctor? No, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. There was a whole thing.
Dumb commercial.
It's okay. It's okay. All's good, pal. All's good. No worries. Today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone, countysports.zone. MIAA Lacrosse finals are set for this week down in Annapolis. Find out more, plus all of the schedules and scores and bracket updates from the public school lacrosse championships. You can find it all, countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. All right, Orioles off today, and then they'll be back in action on Friday as they open up a series with the Mariners, and we will see if we are closer to Grayson Rodriguez's return, and if that's the case, then what might the roster move be for the Orioles? Because as we talked about, Mike Baumann seemed to be the obvious one right up until Mike Baumann's looked great. Jacob Webb a couple weeks ago seemed to be the obvious one right up until Jacob Webb started looking great. I don't know anymore. I have no idea. You can't get me to guess. By the way, did you see yesterday on Twitter, like, was it Andrew Suarez got released?
Yes.
But all I saw was Orioles release Suarez or something.
Suarez.
Like, what the F? Why? It's very confusing. All right, when we come back in, we're going to talk some lacrosse from Syracuse. Billy Dwan, Loyola Blakefield alum, getting ready to play over at United Stadium on Sunday in the NCAA quarterfinals. We'll talk to him next. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland. Visit Hagerstown.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flight's Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Syrscuse. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
Oh, honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well then, don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
NCAA Lacrosse Tournament quarterfinals coming up this Sunday at United Stadium at Towson. The first of the 2 games, Syracuse and Denver. Joining us now is Loyola Blakefield's own Syracuse sophomore defender. Billy Dwan is with us this morning here on GCR. Billy, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Hey, dude, it's good to talk to you. I have to know, right? You have scored for a long pole some of the most insane goals that we have seen this year between the legs, over your back. Do you, practice these types of absurd shots? Or have these things just all been kind of random?
I would like to say yes.
Yeah.
But in reality, we play a lot of box here in the winter. So it's kind of more seeing guys try new things with short sticks and maybe trying to apply some of it to my game with a long pole. And, just kind of taking it from there, and happy to see him go in. And, yeah.
Okay, what's the one? What's the one that, when it happened, you just said, dude, I can't believe I just did that?
I would like to say the Cornell one.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Virginia one was in a bigger moment. So I would like to say that one kind of is probably a cooler goal, I guess, for me.
Yeah, what was that tied the game, right?
Yeah. And ultimately we lost the Cornell game, and it didn't end how we wanted it to. And our defense especially didn't feel like we got it done. So I would like to say the Cornell one, or the Virginia one.
Nah, it makes all the sense in the world. All right, Billy Dwan, I think a lot of people familiar with your family. Did you always know growing up that lacrosse was your path? Did you have no doubt in your mind when you were 4 that one day you were going to be playing lacrosse?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to say my dream was to play in the NFL or anything like that, like any other kid. But ultimately I knew lacrosse was my path. And my dad played, my uncles played, my aunt played, and picked up the stick the first time when I was 3, the Johns Hopkins evening camp or whatever it was. And from that moment on, I knew I loved the sport, and I was obsessed with it, and I knew I wanted to take it to the next level and take it as far as possible.
So how much did that benefit you in your path to this point? Because I know that sometimes being someone's son, or to your point, being someone's nephew, you got to live in that spotlight. But for you, how much of it was a benefit to have the amount of coaching that you had growing up to help get you to this point?
Yeah, it was huge. Like I said, from the time I was a little kid, I was on the floor watching film with my dad, or just watching it, and I think we were watching it a different way than most people watched it in the terms of why did this goal happen, or why did this player make a nice play, or stuff like that. And having a coach in the household with you, but then you're sitting around at Thanksgiving dinner having a couple other coaches there too. Definitely think it's huge. I think it's kind of helped me to this point in terms of IQ and trying to boss people around on the field and everything like that. But yeah, it's definitely played a huge role. Watching like my dad's old games or my uncle's old games and stuff like that. Just definitely cool to see how they play the game and trying to take stuff from their game and applying it to mine.
Do you notice yourself, and like at what point did you start maybe recognizing that you kind of had like a coach on the field mentality because of all of that?
I would say it was kind of when early on in high school.
Yeah.
When, I mean, obviously club and middle school and rec and everything like that, you kind of play the same defenses and stuff like that. But once offenses start getting more complex, and I felt like I understood them at a different, I guess, level than other kids, especially right away. And I think that kind of made me realize like all this, like, you know, all the work, I guess not even like unseen work of like watching film with my dad or watching games or just playing a catch in the backyard kind of has benefited me a lot.
So how are you after games? Like, do you want the text from him or the call from him to break down what happened? Or are you like, dude, leave me alone. I know what I did wrong. I don't want to talk about it today.
Yeah, it depends. I think it depends on the win or loss.
Yeah.
Obviously after a win, I'd love to talk about it with him. After a loss, even though I probably don't want to hear it, he's the first one to tell me that, you know, like this could have went differently or this could have went differently. And we always talk if it's that night or the next day or a couple of days after. We always try and, you know, get a chat in and talk about a couple of things. And he does a great job of keeping his distance as well, though. And like not trying to like overpress him, because he obviously respects and knows that I definitely I'm at the point where I know what I did right and wrong. So he doesn't overdo it, but he definitely does a good job of, you know, letting me know.
That's cool, man. Billy Dwan is with the Syracuse Denver Sunday at noon at United Stadium right here in Towson. Billy, you guys got, speaking of Towson, right? Like they gave you a hell of a test on Sunday night. And what a battle that was, and you guys are trailing, and I'm sure defensively you guys are not happy about giving up 15 goals, but how good do you think that was for your team to get tested like that in the tournament opener as a reminder of what it takes to win this time of year?
Yeah, I definitely think that's huge. Towson's a great team. They have a great offense. So defensively, we weren't too thrilled with giving up 15, but they're a great offense. They definitely got the job done on their end of the field. And it definitely just showed us, like a lot of us, besides a couple of the transfer guys, it's all of our first tournament game. So it's kind of just definitely a different type of game and different kind of pressure on the game, I guess. So getting that playoff experience, I'd say, is pretty huge.
You know, it's ironic. I think a lot of people locally have compared what's going on at Hopkins this season to what you guys have at Syracuse, right? Like a legendary program that has accomplished so many things, but yet has been a little bit down by their standards the last few years. How much has it meant to you to be a part of the Syracuse team to try to get things turned around and live up to the standards of Syracuse lacrosse?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a huge piece of it. Like that's why you come here to a place like Syracuse, where lacrosse ultimately means something to the guys in the huddle and coaches and the athletic department, but to the community as well. So to try and bring this thing back and get this thing where it belongs is definitely a huge piece of why you come to a place like this and why you're playing games like this upcoming this Sunday or the game last Sunday. And yeah, that's why I kind of came here. I know Hopkins is trying to do the same thing down there.
Yeah.
Kind of seen it from afar, but obviously the program hasn't been where we want it to be the last 5-10 years or so in terms of winning national championships. So the ultimate goal of us trying to get back there and get back to Memorial Day weekend obviously goes through Denver this Sunday.
What would it mean to you to be part of the team that delivered Syracuse back to championship weekend?
Oh, it would mean everything. And just, you know, as a little kid watching, you know, like big time games and watching teams like Hopkins and Syracuse play from a young age, obviously, you kind of see how a place like Syracuse is like the place to play lacrosse and in the dome, and to see it like bring it back to excellence and Memorial Day weekend and get back to that point would mean everything to me.
You know, it's not going to be easy. Clearly, this is a really good Denver team that you guys have to face. So again, coming off that performance on Sunday night, what do you feel like you guys have to do even better this Sunday in order to beat Denver?
I mean, obviously, I think they have a great offense, some really quick attackmen, some really big middies. They have a great defense, great face-off guy, and So I would say, obviously, for us, it's just being connected, and then I don't want to speak on the offensive terms, but on defense, that's looking like, not just saying what you're doing, but talking to two other people in the field and everybody being the same page. If that's the right page or the wrong page, it's the same page. So if we're all doing the same thing together, and I think it's just sticking to our fundamentals and doing the things that we've done to get us to this point, but obviously doing it at a higher level than we have the last couple of weeks.
For you, coming back, I know last year you guys played at Maryland and you played that game at Good Counsel, but to be playing back in Baltimore, or the Baltimore region, really, how exciting is this for you that it just happens to work out this way? Like, how many of your friends and Blakefield folks do you feel like are going to be there on Sunday for you?
Yeah, I think a ton of them will be there, but it's definitely super, super cool and super surreal, and just seeing like how I played club games at Towson growing up, where I played, football games in the Turkey Bowl there growing up.
Right.
Yeah. And then seeing it come full circle is super big, and trying to get tickets from all my boys to get tickets to my boys from high school. But yeah, no, just super cool, super surreal, like staying in a hotel like 2 miles from my house back at home, and staying super close and having all my family there and everything like that, which doesn't happen too much. Just being up in Syracuse and everybody being Baltimore is just going to be super cool. I'm super grateful, super excited for it.
And you were part of the team that snapped the streak, right, for Loyola in the Turkey Bowl, correct?
Yeah, I was a senior, so I was a senior on the team. We didn't win for 8 years, and we beat them.
So like when we talk about trying to end this funk for like Syracuse, a thing or two about how to do that. Like how to change history.
Do it here.
Yeah, right. You can follow that up. Hey, man, playing for an absolute legend, right? And I don't even know at your age, like, how much Gary Gait, the player, like, even I guess probably for you knowing, your family and all that, it probably resonates a little bit more than for some guys. But, I mean, this is an icon in the sport that we're talking about. What's it been like playing for Gary and him being your coach?
Yeah, it's awesome. And like you said, obviously, over time, I don't think people do realize how much of a legend he is, and he's the Michael Jordan of lacrosse. And
right.
But being able to watch some of his games, obviously you don't get to see all of them, but being able to watch some of his games, if that's with my dad at home or if that's up here, just watching at home on my TV or something like that, just seeing it and watching him and watching how he played on the field, and that's kind of what he represents and wants us to do. And obviously being able to have him as my coach and going to him every day, if that's about lacrosse or just life, it's something that I'll forever cherish. And he's obviously a great player, but I think even a better person. I think that's what he would rather be remembered as.
What do you think about the suits, by the way?
Oh, I love them.
Yeah,
I think
right?
they're awesome. Yeah, big time.
I mean, it's pretty sharp. Like, you're sort of like, wow, look at that guy.
Yeah, he got away with them for a little bit
Yeah.
last year. He stopped wearing them, but he's back to them this year, and good to see him on the sideline and rocking the suit.
Was that like a superstition thing that he went back to him? Do you know what the story was?
I'm not exactly sure. I know that last year he wasn't wearing them, and then he came first game of the year this year and was rocking again. So maybe just figured he'd get back to it. I'm not sure.
And hey, look, man, it's been working, right? Like,
oh yeah, big time.
It's been working. And then tell me about going up, because in practice, I'm sure you've had a few battles with Spallina over the last couple of years. Like, that cat is just different, man. Like, it just seems sometimes like he's playing a different sport. What is that like when you do get the opportunity, the iron sharpens iron nature of that, when you do get an opportunity to battle with him?
Yeah, he's one of my good friends, and obviously we talk every day, and I'm close with his brothers as well. And it's awesome to see him work from afar, and he's not the biggest, fastest, or strongest, but he's a competitor, and he grinds more than anybody on our team, I'd say. He wants to be great more than anybody else wants him to be great, I'd say. He has a pretty good fire within in terms of working hard, and just going against him in practice every day and battling against him. We've had a few dust ups, and just seeing it and just going against them has definitely made me a better player, and it's definitely made me more of a competitor, and it's made me work harder, and it pushes me. So super happy he's on our side of the ball and not on the other team.
Yeah, right. Don't have to defend him when the games are going on. There's no doubt about that. All right, Billy Dwan, where can Twitter, Instagram, anywhere that lacrosse fans can be giving you a follow?
Yeah, I'm not too much on Twitter. Lacrosse, just Billy Dwan 35.
All right, give him follow there. Billy, best of luck to you, man. Considering my play-by-play job at Loyola, I'm still a little bit hurt that we weren't able to get you there. Like, still, I haven't fully gotten over it, but we'll be rooting for you no matter what, man. Thank you for taking the time for us. Really
thank
appreciate
you for having
it.
me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. Billy Dwan from Syracuse, Loyola Blakefield alum. They're getting ready for Denver Sunday, and that's the first of the 2 quarterfinals at United Stadium, which will be followed up by Johns Hopkins, Virginia. That's the second game. So it should be a tremendous day of lacrosse. I have not looked at the weather because I am not, unfortunately, going to be able to be there. It's a bummer for me. I'm going to be actually out of town for the day on Sunday. So I haven't bothered to look at the weather. I'm hoping that as I look at it now, Griffin, of course, could look out and tell us what the weather looks like today.
What day are we worried about?
Well, Sunday is the day I'm worried about, but
if it's anything like today, I think it'll be.
They're gonna be good. Yeah, it'll be a beautiful day to be at United Stadium.
They got turf, so yeah, you know.
I know that there's some rain in the forecast on Saturday because like it's Preakness, so of course, why wouldn't there be, why wouldn't there be some rain in the forecast just to screw up the most important day of the year?
Sunday,
although they're kind of
they're saving everything for Saturday.
Yeah,
all the rain's coming on Saturday.
Looking better on Sunday. There's 79 degrees.
Wow.
Can't ask for much better than that. Yeah, 82% chance of rain on Saturday.
Good.
You know what's really funny is I was debating whether I was going to go because I just got a message from the folks at Preakness like, hey, man, we got a credential for you.
Oh.
And, like, I don't want to It's one of those things where, like, it's good to go show your face and you want people to know who you are, and then I can maybe walk by some of the folks we've had on the show and remind, hey, thanks, appreciate you taking the time. That, like, it's good to keep up appearances as you can. I'm not good at that, admittedly, with 2 kids. Like, I just prioritize. The Ravens and the Orioles would tell you, like, if you ask them this question, they'd say, yeah, you're going to do that for Preakness? Why don't you do that for us? I apologize. I have openly admitted my priorities wildly changed the moment the kids came along. I don't have as much time, and if the choice is more time with them or more time doing work-related things, I am sorry. Like, that's just the way it's going to go. I'm always going to pick them. But I also, it's a weird thing for me where I want people to support and embrace and understand how important Preakness is for us. And so I've always, over the years, tried to do my best to go cover and to do coverage during the course of the week. We've done a little bit the last couple of weeks. We've tried to do even more, for the record. It's not like we're not trying. John from Little Rock asked, like, hey, are you going to talk to people about the new agreement? I'm like, dude, if you knew. I guess because the law wasn't signed until yesterday. Maybe that's part of the reason why it was more difficult. Like, the law literally just got signed yesterday by the governor. So that might have something to do with it. But it has been more of a battle than I expected it to be to have the people involved want to talk to us. I do not know what to make of that, man. You would think this would be a good thing that you'd be celebrating and you want to be talking up. It's Preakness week. It's very weird. So I don't know. The weather might be the thing that makes me say, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Also, I'd have to go down there to pick up the credential today because you can't pick it up on Preakness Day. And I don't know. I hate being that guy. I hate being the guy like, I'm mildly inconvenienced. I'll probably
pass. If you bring the boys, that's not going to...
On Saturday?
Yeah.
I'm not taking them to Preakness.
I don't know.
Are you serious?
What do you mean? I don't know. I don't know how it works. Watch the horse.
Yeah, let him run around and watch Jack Harlow?
That too, obviously.
No, I don't. I do zero chance. I want them to stay as far away from Jack Harlow as they possibly can.
What's wrong with Jack Harlow?
Jack Harlow, his music is where I would start.
Well,
it's
he's
awful.
Got some good songs.
Name them.
The First Class was okay.
No, it wasn't. It's awful.
First Class.
It's awful.
He's
this one right now that I can't get away from that I hear every 5 minutes.
Lil Nas X song, I think.
Oh, I do. What was that one called?
I forget.
That one was
called.
Like okay. It was at best okay. The one right now, the Whip song, the whatever that one is.
Oh, I don't listen to that one.
God, that song sucks.
Oh, I avoid that one.
Oh.
Lovin' on Me or whatever, that one.
Yeah, that's the one. Ugh. It's terrible.
Industry Baby was the Lil Nas X.
That was the one. It was okay, and that's all I can
poppin'?
give it. I don't know.
Oh, that's the one. I think that maybe that's one you heard. The brand new Whip. What's poppin'? That one.
No, it's the Lovin' on Me is the one I was thinking
Heroes. He's got that song.
I don't like whips and but you can.
Oh, that song. Okay.
Whip your lovin' on me, baby. That song stinks. Stinks.
I mean, it's not.
It's horrible.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna seek it out either. But
and like I saw when he did Saturday Night Live, I was like embarrassed for him. Like I got the douche chills.
And secondhand embarrassment from your couch.
100%, man. Like, dude, what?
Well, imagine how embarrassed
I
you'll both
like,
be.
like, does
when
he
you see
have
him
a
on
skill?
Saturday.
Like, is he good at something?
Yeah, everybody likes him.
I'll never. I don't know who likes him.
Everybody.
Definitely not everybody.
Everybody.
Definitely not.
No one. I mean, you might be the only person.
I think it's
trying to
people
attack
with the
Jack
same
Harlow.
skin color as us like him, because there are a lot of people that do not like him.
People hate. People hate.
A lot of
there
people.
are Jack Harlow hate groups.
Oh, I don't know if they're groups. I don't think they care that much. I think that there are a lot.
Well, that's what I mean.
Of
Like
people
that's what I mean. No, he's not significant enough for people to hate him. Like,
okay. There are a lot of people that are not in on Jack Harlow, but
he's headlining Preakness.
Yeah, he's got that going for him.
We're trying to talk. We've been
Look,
talking good about the event all week.
I know,
and now you're.
It's just that part is not for me. In fairness, I don't remember the last time somebody who performed at Preakness was for me. I went out the year the Chainsmokers were performing, or the second time they performed, because the first time they performed, and it's the whole bit. It's where they still pretend like they're singing, like when it's so abundantly obvious they're not singing.
Who they have someone named Griffin.
Hey, you got something to tell me?
It's GRY.
Well, is that your stage name?
I know.
Is he just switch it out for a Y? Dude, the year that the Chainsmokers played, I wanted to go out for Moneybag.
DJ.
I wanted to go out for Moneybag Yo.
God.
Yeah, I wanted to
Look
go
at
out.
a picture of him.
I don't think I want to. It's gonna make me feel better about Jack Harlow. I was gonna say
no, it's not. No,
comparison.
it won't. It won't. But I mean, it's just I don't know what I was expecting. But
Oh God. He looks like Professor Snape.
yeah, he does. He does look like Snape.
That's exactly what he looks like.
He's 36.
Good for him. Dude, what do you want me to do? It's not for me. It's for somebody, I think. It's not for me. Dude, I went out. I wanted to watch Moneybag Yo the year that Moneybag Yo played the Preakness infield. But I went out during the Chainsmokers because the Chainsmokers were on earlier. And it was just so hilarious watching their shtick. Like that. First of all, like their skill is pressing play on their iPod. You know what I mean? Like or their computer.
I bet
right?
Griffin does better than anyone.
And that's fine. Like this isn't even me being like anti-DJ. It's just I'll never have any interest in seeing a DJ live. Like that will never. They're just playing songs. Anyone can play a song. Now the skill in crafting the song on your computer, I do think is real. Like it's not the thing that interests me significantly, but I absolutely acknowledge it takes skill to use software to craft a song. It's not the type of music that I particularly enjoy, although there are some beats where I'm like, you know what, I can't lie. I love this one. That Clarity song, I'll hear it a million times, and every time I'll sing along.
What's Clarity?
If I love this
okay.
gravity, why
Okay.
are you? Yeah, that song
that's
rules.
Zed.
Zed is exactly who did. I don't remember who the girl is that's singing in Clarity, but
like Alessia. No,
it's somebody that you know. I just can't remember who it is off the top of my head.
it's not.
Who?
You're saying Foxes? Is that
Yeah,
him?
that's who
Oh,
it is.
who
Foxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, God,
I'm thinking of "Stay" by Alessia Cara.
which one is Stay?
It's like.
Which one is that one? Because I like Alessia Cara. I'm sure I know it.
Yeah, I know. Like I don't know why I can't. Hold on. Let me find
She
it.
did "Scars Till You're Beautiful," right? That was her. Because I like that song. I like Alessia
I don't
Cara.
know,
I'm in on
probably.
her. All right, we are accomplishing nothing at the moment. I was trying to tell my Chainsmokers story. Oh, and then it was just so hot that we couldn't stick around for Moneybag Yo. It was so miserably hot, and in the combination of the sun and my wife being inebriated was not going well. So we were like, all right, we'll go back in. But
Stay a minute, dun, 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 or something like that.
all you gotta do is I like that song. That
yeah.
song's all right.
Yeah.
That song's all right. It's fine. I like that. Who did the? Oh, it was Maren Morris, or was it? Who did the? Why don't you just meet me in the middle?
Yeah,
I like that song. That
is
song's a
Maren Morris.
jam.
That's also Zed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I like that. Maybe I like Zed. Maybe that's what it is. I go watch him play his computer. I go do that. Watching DJs is just never going to be my thing. Like, I'm sorry. You're hitting play. Like, God bless you. It's not nothing. And people like dance, and that's all well and good, but I'm too old for that. So,
Oh, he's German.
who's Zed?
Yeah.
Good for him. I don't know. He makes makes decent tunes, or at least two.
Anton Zaslowski.
Sure.
Which sounds
I like two of his songs that
Russian.
I know of.
Yeah.
That's what I got for you. What the hell did we just do? What the hell happened here? We were talking about something, I'm sure, at Preakness.
Yeah, Preakness. The things that matter at Preakness. That's what we're.
Let's talk about the schedule.
I don't want it to rain on Jack Harlow.
It'd be a real shame if we missed out on Jack Harlow. I don't think I'm going to go, is what I was trying to say. I think I'm going to end up backing out. What's the weather like tomorrow? Could I duck over in the afternoon tomorrow and watch the Black Eyed Susan? I used to enjoy Black Eyed Susan Day. The problem is I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to park to pick up my credential. That's the real issue. Like, I've got to have, dude, it's not even a joke. I have to be able to park. If I can't park, I'm out. Sorry. I've been there before on Preakness Day. It ain't happening.
Yeah, it looks good tomorrow.
Right.
Overcast, but no.
Maybe
no
tomorrow afternoon I'll wander over. Maybe that'll be the plan, is that after the show tomorrow I'll duck over and stay for a little bit of Black Eyed Susan.
It's going to rain all Friday night into Saturday. It's going to be
rough.
Slop.
It'll be rough. Today's show also brought to you by Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. Weather doesn't matter at Atman's Deli in Harbor Point, and you can watch all of the events, all the games, the races, right there at the full bar that they now have, because it's everything you loved about the original Atman's Deli, now with a full bar as well. So the corned beef piled high, all the great deli sandwiches, the soups, the desserts, the hot dogs with the bologna. Find out more about their daily specials by going to atmansdeli.com. You got to check out the all-new Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. All right, Ravens' schedule is out. I have very little to say about it. Very little. Here's the only observations that I actually care about. Number one, there should never, ever, ever be a Ravens-Steelers game on Fox. What in the F is that? That stinks. Now, I get it. Part of that is, and I've tried asking NFC markets if they feel the same way. Like, are you just used to the coverage of a certain network, so when it's a different network you just don't like it, or is it dramatically worse? And I am convinced it's dramatically worse. Fox NFL coverage to me has always been significantly worse than a game on CBS. But Ravens-Steelers uniquely, for some reason it's never Ravens-Steelers. Like, it's even rare that it's a Monday or Thursday night. It seems like it is always either Sunday night or protected by CBS. So, I hate it. I hate that. It doesn't actually matter, but I hate it. I truly hate the idea of Ravens-Steelers being a game on Fox. That's not where a Ravens-Steelers game is supposed to be. I don't like it. I don't want it. Now, as far as the stuff that you think matters, don't care. The fact they've got to go on the road again on Christmas, that's been something that a lot of people have talked about. One, it is extraordinary that the NFL is doing this dumb bit where they're playing games on Wednesday afternoon. I mean, that's extraordinary. It really is. And there's no getting around it. And they should be embarrassed by it. I get that they're not, but they should be. They're not embarrassed because Netflix paid, $150 million or something like that. So they're not going to be embarrassed by it. But they should be. It's a joke. It's as much of a joke as everyone says it is. I don't like groupthink. I don't like just agreeing with something. But this is dead on. It is a joke to play games on a Wednesday afternoon. To try to so manipulate your schedule to pull it off. It's laughable. And to say, well, that's why they're moving the games up to Saturday. Now you're stretching how laughable it is. Like, you're going to cartoonish lengths to try to justify it. It was one thing during COVID, man. We were all at home. We got nothing to do. Like, do whatever you got to do in order to play the games. We get it. There's a crisis going on. This ain't that. This is just nonsense. And I get what they have figured out is that people are at home. So if they're at home or they're at someone's home, then it's a day where people aren't doing things. So we can pop a bigger audience. The fact that they figured out they could sell more games and make more money and not. This is the thing that we always joke about, like, hey, when are we getting to the point where they're just going to play games on every day of the week? And This is the type of thing that makes you wonder about that. Like, are they just going to do a Wednesday night package? Say, well, we can always have a team. I guess the answer is they can't because they can't always have a team play on Saturday. But they could say somebody's going to be coming off their bye.
How they started Thursday night football, where like
starting
it was week 4.
Right, starting in week 4, teams that are coming off their bye are going to come back and play on Wednesday, so that we can have a Wednesday night package for the rest of the season. Like, it really does make you wonder to what length. It's always been laughable that they play these games at 9 a.m. That's always been embarrassing. Just to try to, again, create a new TV window, to try to find more. It is the antithesis of what makes, instead of, as I've said all along, just putting all of the games on TV. Just saying to Netflix, hey, you want in? No problem. We're going to offer you the third game. We're going to stagger kickoff times throughout the day on Sunday, and we're going to offer you the third game. So, I am. Like, I can't shake it. I think the Christmas thing is wrong. If it was a Thursday, I would feel differently. But it's a Wednesday. Manipulating your schedule to try to justify it is laughable. And how late, I think it's clearly part of the reason why the Ravens have their bye so late, is to, like, try to help justify it. Like, hey, yeah, you got to go through this kind of absurd practice, but you're going to have a late bye, so you'll be well rested going into that. I know a few people have pointed out the Ravens have, like, the benefit this season of the teams they're playing. They're going to have the most rest days of anyone going into, like, they'll have
they'll be rested going in.
More rested than their opponent is, more than anyone this season. So there's that. I mean, I guess that's a thing.
Well, because they play like 3 Thursday night games, I guess that's.
I guess that's
the reason.
So they get extra days going into the Sunday.
And there's
no the teams that they play on those Thursday nights
night
also played on
3 days rest. Yeah.
Correct. So, I mean, that's something. I guess. You're gonna play the games whenever you're gonna play. This is why you just don't get me to care about the schedule. You got to play the games. The teams are on the schedule. You got to play them at some point. The only thing that was interesting to me a year ago, as I said, was the fact that they got C.J. Stroud early on in the season. Now, I get it. They ended up beating him again in the playoffs once he was C.J. Stroud. But I would always say you're better off playing dynamic rookie quarterbacks early in the season before you run the risk of them becoming really good quarterbacks. The Commanders game is in, week 6? So I don't think that Jaden Daniels can make the Commanders like a scary team next year. But he's pretty freaking dynamic, and he's pretty freaking good. And maybe he will really just be that good that early in his career that he could. So I would rather play them earlier in the season than later where
they do get the Commanders and Broncos at home.
Well, yeah, but you knew that. Like, you knew
right.
Getting them at home isn't the factor to me. It's that I want those games early before those rookie quarterbacks have a potential to get into a groove and to be playing at a high level. I'm less fearful of Bo Nix than I am of Jaden Daniels. But, yeah, I mean, it's the same concept with Bo Nix. And it's still in the first half of the season for the Broncos game. So I have a lot of fear of, like, Bo Nix being so scary. The Ravens are too good for me to think that, like, Bo Nix is going to be the rookie quarterback that can give them hell. But Jaden Daniels, just because of the uniqueness of his skill set, it's not impossible to me that Jaden Daniels could really just be a phenomenon this season. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying it's not impossible. And so if that's the case, I'd rather get that out of the way early. And early-ish is when the Ravens get it. Nothing else on there that really again, Ravens Steelers on Fox, the hell is that? That should never happen.
What week is that?
It's the week before the Christmas game.
Oh, it is.
That's why they're
Saturday.
It's a Saturday game, and apparently Fox had it.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll just have to go.
Okay, there you go. That's how you solve the problem.
Yeah.
You avoid Fox altogether. Just go. You know what else I don't like about that weekend? This is the first ever 12-team college football playoff, and their games are just going to be up against each other. That sucks. Like, I get there's no easy answer here. The NFL, that's traditionally the week that they've started to put Saturday games on. So they're saying to college football, like, dude, God bless you wanting to do a playoff, but, like, this is what we've been doing for years. We're not messing. We're not screwing with you. You're screwing with us. Why? Look, man, I'm not saying nobody's going to watch the college football games, but this is the NFL we're talking about. Why college football hasn't gone back to the drawing board and said, all right, we got to reconsider this. Play maybe 2 games on Friday, like a 6 o'clock and a 9:30 game on Friday. NFL's not playing Saturday night, so you would still have the ability to do at least 1 game and maybe 1 game on Wednesday of that week. Like, trying to find a creative way to make sure you're
for college football.
Because remember, they only need 4 games in that first round because 4 teams are going to have a bye. So it's 8 teams that are playing, so you need 4 games. So you got to find 4 windows to play games. To me, the answer is Wednesday night, 2 games on Friday, and Saturday night. And I get it that, like, primetime games in some of these plays, like, imagine if it's Ohio State or Michigan
playing on Wednesday
that's at home, just hosting a night game in late December. Like, that sounds miserable. But NFL teams do it.
Right.
I don't think that suddenly fans are going to stay away.
Well, MAC football teams do it too, yeah.
They don't do it in late December.
In Michigan, it feels like,
I understand that it's miserable already weather-wise in October, but they're not doing it in late. Now imagine that in late December.
They would show up.
I believe
Western
that's
Michigan
the case.
would show out.
But, like, there really is a danger there. Still, you decided to play these games at neutral or at home sites instead of moving them all to, neutral sites.
Phoenix and
yeah, you made this choice. I don't think you're going to be dramatically different Saturday at 1 o'clock or Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Like, yes, the sun being up might help a little bit, but it's still going to be cold if you're playing a game in Ann Arbor on December 18th. Like, it's going to be cold. So I think the answer to me is college football's got to reconsider because at the moment they're scheduled to play games. I think there's like 1 Friday and 3 Saturday. And going up against the NFL for the college football play. Going up head-to-head against the NFL makes no effing sense.
To that Friday makes a lot of sense.
Yes, to that Friday. Keep a game on Saturday night because the NFL's not playing on Saturday night. It's 2 afternoon games so that you can give those teams more time going into, again, the absurdity of playing Wednesday afternoon. Keep a game on Saturday night and then just move the other game to Wednesday night. Like that, it's not these teams aren't playing the week before. Like that's Army-Navy week. Nobody's playing the previous week. So all of these teams, there's no short week issue with having them play on Wednesday night. Play the first on Wednesday night. It's that simple. I don't know why. I think it's bizarre that it's even something that you're struggling with. Maybe they're worried that if a team plays on Wednesday night that somebody won't go to the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Like, I think a team can coordinate how to make that work for giving the team off on Saturday so that their player can be part of the Heisman Trophy festivities. But, I mean, there will be a problem for the teams involved because, like, normally there's that award show on Thursday night that they go down to Orlando for, and then they go up to New York for 2 days for the Heisman festivities. So they're clearly not – the teams that are involved are not going to be able to give up 3 days, but that's not going to make a difference whether it's Wednesday or Saturday. Like, they're going to have that problem no matter what. They're not – teams involved that are playing the following week are not going to be able to play 3 games. Also, maybe it's that you just need to bump the whole thing back a week and play all of these games the week between Christmas and New Year's. But I know they want it. Never mind. They want to have the quarterfinals. This is why there shouldn't be a 12. No one asked for an effing 12-team playoff. No one wanted this.
Did.
No.
Yes, they did.
No one wanted they wanted a playoff. They wanted more teams. We wanted 8. That was the number. And they're already prepared to go to 16. We wanted 8 teams in the playoff. And they just said, 8-team playoff, you say, best I can do is 12. What? Why? What?
So you benefit now the top 4 do get the benefit of, a bye into the 18 playoff.
Great. Good. Cool. I mean, what do you want to say about that? Okay. Good for them. Stupid. It's stupid. So that was the other thing that jumped out at me about the schedule, is I hate the idea that, like, if I'm going to be watching Ravens Steelers, which I'm going to be, it means that I can't be watching a college football playoff game.
Well, hopefully,
I hate that. I hate it. I mean, like, it's just not necessary. Fix it.
I think, well, the NFL's not going to fix it, but yeah.
No, the NFL's saying this is what we're doing. I mean, in a way, the NFL's, I guess, being benevolent by only playing 2 games on Saturday instead of taking all 3 of the television windows.
So Christmas Day is the only reason for this, really.
No, they'd still be playing Saturday. It's the only reason why these teams are playing on Saturday is Christmas Day.
Well, do you think
they've always played?
Well, if it wasn't for Christmas Day being on Wednesday, like, do you think they would show some
capitulate? No, not a chance. It's the NFL you're talking about.
The NFL.
The only reason they don't play on Saturdays during the year is because of this bizarre law that was signed in. I don't know if you guys know this. There's a law and within their monopoly that was written in during JFK's time as president.
Wow.
To say you cannot play on Saturdays until
the college football regular season.
Until the 3rd week of December.
Wow. And that's still.
And it's just. I mean, it's never been revisited. I mean, like, it's never been something. I'm surprised the NFL's never really.
Is there something? Is there a Friday thing too because of high school football?
Yes. Okay. Yes. 100%. There's a Friday thing too.
But they're able to do because they're doing what 2? Is it? Yeah. They're doing 2 Friday games this year still.
What are the Friday games?
The
Black Friday game
and then Brazil.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the nature of that. Maybe that one isn't like a law as much as it's just like
respect.
Well, it's on Friday night. It's also a bad TV night. Like, it is. Friday night traditionally is not a good TV viewing night. So the NFL's never really probably had that much interest in Friday night either.
What time's the Brazil game?
It's a night game. It's a primetime game. It's an
8:15
game.
Okay.
And then, obviously, Black Friday games in the afternoon because of people being home. It's a holiday. But, yeah, otherwise, it's the schedule. There's a schedule. Everybody gets one. These are the games that you're going to play. This is when the Ravens are going to play their games. And I've got – what did you think they got screwed on? What is your –
They got to play like they got the hardest first 4 weeks of anyone.
They play the Raiders.
Yeah, at home. Yes. Yeah, that's they get that one. But now they got to go to Dallas, to Kansas City, Sunday Night Football against the Bills.
But they have the extra rest for the Kansas City. Wait.
Yeah, they give extra rest for the Raiders.
Yeah, but they also have it for the Kansas City game.
That's the one we need 3 days for.
No, you're way better playing the Kansas City game in week 1 where there's no rest factor involved. Like you haven't played a real game.
And they're making them play on the road on Christmas Day back-to-back years.
That part of it, I can't
enjoy my Christmas twice now.
Well, I enjoyed my Christmas plenty when they won last year.
Well, yeah, you didn't enjoy your Christmas until about 11:30. Well, I guess they had the game tied up, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much over in the second quarter, right? I enjoyed my Christmas plenty. I don't know, man. This is a weird one for me. If Christmas was a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't care they're playing on Christmas. We like having stuff to watch on these days. We just do. I guess Christmas uniquely, like we also like watching movies. So like,
Well, they're trying to show us. Forget that.
Right. I don't know. I've just never.
This is football now.
The holiday thing doesn't
bother me. Like the fact, I'm not gonna know that it's a Wednesday other than the fact that on December 26th I'm gonna wake up and be like, oh, it's Thursday. Like.
No, I think you're gonna know it's a Wednesday. I think you'll know that. I'd say the holiday thing in general doesn't bother me the way that bothers some people because people do have to work holidays. Like that. That's the reality. I know we always try to do this like holier than thou thing. Like I feel bad for the ticket takers and for the vendors and all that sort of stuff. Well, like, dude, have you worked in radio before? I've worked every holiday. Retail, you heard of it? I get that like some places close, but like the 7-Eleven doesn't close on a holiday. I'm not trying to be utterly dismissive of it or be trite, but like people work on holidays. And you try to do your best to take care of them and be fair about it as much as you possibly can, but like that I don't think there's a holier than thou thing the way that I would love it if the entire world could stop for a day. Now, which day are you picking? Because ask your Jewish friends how concerned they are about the fact that they might have to work on Christmas. It's the thing that you care about. And if you want to request off that day, that's a different conversation. And I guess the football players don't have that option. But I don't think they want to pass up on the paycheck either. I get it. I'm not saying that it's a zero or that there's nothing to the argument, but it just largely, I don't know, it kind of feels flat for me, or falls flat for me. Like, people do have to work on holidays. It's a bummer. Would love it if the world could shut down. And, again, you care deeply about this one. And I understand that. And I'm not knocking you for caring deeply about this, but not everyone does. It's just the reality of it. Some people are looking for something else to do on Christmas. They are. There are a lot of people in my life that make plans to go to the movie theater on Christmas, that are grateful that there are big blockbuster films that typically come out on Christmas each year. Those people got to work too.
This was Aquaman, apparently.
Did Aquaman come out on Christmas?
It came out like 2 days before or something like that.
Maybe it did.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of movies come out on Christmas, man. Like, it's just, they plan it that way. They do it. Didn't Avatar come out on Christmas? Or the second one, maybe?
The second one came out, I think, like 2 weeks before.
Oh, okay.
Like before.
Right.
I think that's how they're starting to do it now. Is that they're?
I still think there are a lot of movies that come out on Christmas every year.
Something comes out like December.
Yes.
Well, like the episode 9 of Star Wars came out like the third week of December.
Yeah,
so.
but I still think there are movies that they specifically have come out on Christmas. Because
was Anyone But You that come out on Christmas?
Might have been. I don't do.
But like, I don't know if it's like the blockbusters anymore. I think they're making the blockbusters stay like the third week.
We're going to do some research on that. Okay. We're going to do some research on that. All right, today's show also brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan, Ross, and Luke every Monday, and then Stan and Eric Garfield all talking baseball every Thursday. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, PressBoxOnline.com/video if you miss it live. We'll come back in, make a trip to Bowie to chat with Trace Bright. That's next, Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Oh, honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well, then, don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels. heating and air conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flights Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Syrscuse. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. And every Thursday, we like to make a trip to Bowie to chat with a member of the Bay Sox. Our next guest, he's off to a pretty good start to the season. Through 7 starts, he's pitching to a 2.53 ERA. He was part of the spring breakout game this year. He is Trace Bright, and he's with us once again on GCR. Trace, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
I appreciate you having me on, and good morning.
Man, it's good to chat with you. Appreciate you taking the time. And as I mentioned, I got to imagine you're feeling pretty good about the start that you're off to this season, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's always kind of how you want to get things started off, and it's now, kind of in the mode of making sure that I'm doing the right things to keep that rolling.
So if there's one area, I guess, base runners, right? Like 1.53 whip. And it's not even like that, it's been extraordinary. What is it? I'm sure that's a number that you want to see come down. What is it that's been going on? And in a way, how proud are you about the way that you have handled yourself when there have been runners on base this season?
Yeah, that's definitely higher than, as a starting pitcher you would want. I kind of have been getting hit a little bit more than I've wanted to in the first few games, but obviously been able to get some double plays, limit the damage. The defense behind me has been great, and my catchers have been throwing out just about anybody that tries to steal on us. So we've been able to limit the damage, but obviously want to get those numbers down.
So, a year ago you got up to the AA level for a little bit of a taste. How much do you feel like that helped you coming in? Everybody always talks about like AA being when it gets real, right? Like that's when you're facing major leaguers now. How much did it help you to get a little bit of a taste of that this year? And what were your priorities, knowing that was going to be the level that you were going to be back at this season?
Yeah, I think coming up last year played a big role in me kind of getting a feel of how each lineup works. And, 1 through 9, you're facing good hitters. You can't take an at-bat off as a pitcher. So I think it kind of gave me a head start into knowing what I needed to do this year. Obviously, last year, the walk numbers were a big focus for me, wanting to lower those. And, staying in the strike zone more, which sometimes that gets turned around into they're getting more hits off of you. But for me, I'd rather them earn a base off a hit than me give them a free pass. So that was kind of the main focus coming into this year.
And maybe is that in a way you say, okay, I can live with, some of the hits that I've given up because you're still happy with the pitches that you made?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, you just get beat as a pitcher and you hate it, and it's a tough pill to swallow, but they hit a good pitch and they've got your number. But also there's times that you leave a bad pitch over the plate and you're like, well, that's not necessarily what I wanted. And you've got to kind of fine tune those pitches in a little bit.
I understand that. Trace Bright is with us here on GCR. Trace, I mentioned being part of the spring breakout thing. And I get that, like, every ounce of where you were, early round pick, coming from the SEC, like the expectation has always been that you're going to be a big leaguer. But what does being a part of something like that do for you, your confidence that, like, hey, I am on the right track and everyone is recognizing that I'm on the right track?
Well, to be thrown in with the names that are in, our org's prospects is just a compliment in and of itself. It's very humbling because just top to bottom at every level in our system, we have just outstanding players. So to experience that for the first time and to be a part of that group was just such an honor. It was a blast. I think that was probably the highlight of spring training for a lot of people, but it was a lot of fun to get in.
Did you find yourself taking notes from Skeens? Like, all right, how do I throw that pitch? How do I do that?
Yeah, I would love to throw a pitch and turn around and see it light up on the scoreboard.
Right.
I think that's what every pitcher dreams of.
It's insane, man. That is nuts. Trace Bright is with us in the Bowie Bay Sox here on GCR. Trace, I think a lot has been made in this organization. Everybody always says, like, well, they got plenty of hitters, but not a lot of pitchers. I guess, one, do you get offended when you hear that? Because you're like, hey, man, we got some pitchers too. And two, I guess on the flip side, is there an amount of pressure that comes with it? Because what's true is that the Orioles haven't used as many early round picks on pitchers in recent years. And so there is maybe a little bit of a higher level of expectation for those of you that they did use a little bit earlier picks on as far as pitchers are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think you can really take offense to it. That's just how good our organization is, and our position players are amazing. But that doesn't discredit any of the pitchers that we have in our org. I see so many guys that I work with on a daily basis, and they are right up there with. I'd put them up against anybody else's best in their org. So I don't think it's a lack of having one or the other. And I think as history shows, you don't necessarily have to use that high round pick to have just an all-star pitcher. There's so many guys that it doesn't matter where they get picked at. They're going to be as good as they're going to be wherever they're picked. And I think we have plenty of those guys at every level that can make it at the big league level.
Who's somebody that you've been around that you don't think gets enough attention, as far as pitchers are concerned?
I think if you just look at our staff and our bullpen here in Bowie, a lot of guys come in consistently. Brandon Young, Kyle Bernovich, Carlos Tavera, Seth Johnson, Alex Pham, Ryan Long. I think if you just look at like that group of starters, they give our team a chance to win every day. And then our bullpen has been great. Obviously had a 5-inning shutout from our bullpen yesterday, and it's been fun to watch and fun to be a part of.
Bay Sox are away this week, but we'll be back starting on Tuesday night when they open up a series against Richmond. Events next week include Military Appreciation Night, Glow in the Park next Friday night, the Eras Band, and I'm not sure we're allowed to say, but I think you all know what artist that band will be covering when they perform next Friday night. I don't think that we have to spell it out too much. TS, I feel like you can figure that out. The beer run next Saturday. You can find out more about all of these events by going to baysox.com. Completely unrelated, Trace Bright, are you a Swiftie?
I don't think I would consider myself a Swiftie.
You know what? We're not going to go too far because all of a sudden you're going to have a million people that are going to be mad at you and the internet is going to come after you about it. But you and I probably agree in that department, so I'll fall on the sword for you if they come after us, if that's the case. I have no ill will in my heart. It's just not my thing. It's just not what's for me. So what is for you, Trace Bright? Like away from baseball, what do you get into? What is it like for you? What kind of music? What do you do with your time? What's life like when you're not pitching?
Obviously, as a pitcher, you get a lot more time on your hands after your start day. I love to try and find myself getting to a golf course, at least once a week or so. It's tough on the roads, but at home, back in Bowie, definitely trying to play some golf. Other than that, in the spring training, did a decent amount of fishing and golf. But obviously, it's just kind of you like to enjoy the rest. You like to enjoy the off time. Hang out with some of the teammates and stuff. Get to some O's games on Mondays, our off day, so it makes for
that's cool.
A good time for sure.
That's cool. Is that something that you just like go sit in the stands, or do you go get to spend time with the guys when you go on Mondays?
We just go sit in the stands and watch.
Wow.
Obviously, it's a lot of fun to watch on TV, but it's even more fun to watch in person.
That's really cool, man. I think that says something. I had never heard this before. I think it says something about the organization that you're just so kind of in tune with what's going on that you want to be a part of it in that way.
Yeah, it also helps. I grew up an O's fan.
Yeah.
So, there's a little bit of bias there.
All right. So take me back, right? Because I think somebody would say, why would a kid that was born in Montgomery, Alabama, be a big Orioles fan? So what is the story there?
So I have relatives, family from my dad's side. My grandmother is originally from the Haverty-Gray area.
I remember that from when you were in Aberdeen and how cool that was.
Yeah, so they're pretty close. They're able to come down to pretty much all the home games. Obviously, it was a lot closer in Aberdeen, but they still try and make it to Bowie. But that's kind of my tie to Baltimore and becoming a Orioles fan. Kind of learn from grandparents and parents.
That's awesome.
The right way to go.
And other guys go with you when you go on Mondays?
Yeah, it's usually a good group of us. Obviously, it helps when we're at home and have the off day and can come hang out for a little while.
I think that's really cool, man. I think that's a really cool thing. And does it speak to the feeling that everybody has about like the opportunity that's ahead here in Baltimore? That like all of you guys are working for you could really be in a place where you could end up winning a World Series.
Oh, for sure. I mean, obviously you love to see them play in the high level that they play at, and you envision yourself hopefully being there one day, kind of living up to that expectation of what the team has built and what they're building towards. So I think it's kind of a motivator to watch that and to want to be a part of that.
Man, I gotta imagine that like you start having to pinch yourself a little bit, right? Like you followed the Orioles for this long, and now you're only 2 levels away. Like, do you kind of does it get a little bit emotional for you sometimes when you think about that?
Sometimes you have to put it in perspective. You don't really think about it on this daily basis in the daily routine that we're in, but when you can kind of step back and realize where you are and how blessed you are, it's definitely awesome to see how close you are, and kind of it's a motivator when you're this close. You want to make that final jump or two to get to that level that you want to be at.
That's awesome, man. That is a really cool thing. All right, Trace Bright, just another minute or two here on GCR. One, anything new as far as the Arsenal has been concerned this year?
Nothing really new. Obviously, the focus was limiting the walks and just kind of fine-tuning what I have in my arsenal already and making those pitches better and being able to use them at a higher level.
And then what did you think about, I mentioned the Futures game. Not the Futures game, the Breakout game. What did you think about the challenge system?
I thought it was pretty cool. They kind of warn pitchers not to use it because there's a little bit of ego involved in that, but I think we successfully got one early in the game. Our catchers obviously have a better view of it and a little less biased, but I think it's pretty cool.
I have been convinced that like the challenge system actually expands the strike zone because it means that like if any small part of the ball crossed over any part of the plate, then it's a strike. It's sort of like in tennis. To me, I feel like it's a good thing for pitchers, right?
Yeah, I mean, if your pitch is moving a lot and it barely catches that zone and you're able to challenge, the break of the pitch may have made it look like it wasn't close to being a strike, but if you can challenge it, you can obviously win that pitch back for you.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's something the pitchers are going to want. All right, Trace Bright, remind everybody how they can follow you on Twitter or Instagram.
Twitter should be T_Bright04, Trace_Bright04. And then same with Instagram, T_Bright04.
Man, Trace Bright, I don't know, continue to kill it, I guess is the thing that we got to say. Continue to get the job done the way that you are. Can't wait to see what's next for you, man. Thank you for taking a few minutes for us this morning. We really appreciate it. Tell whoever's riding that to be careful. Trace Bright. Appreciate you, dude. Trace Bright, the Bowie Bay Sox, with us here on GCR. Again, the Bay Sox back home next week. Opportunity to get down to Prince George's County Stadium in order to check out the Bay Sox. By the way, we did a little research, and it seems like both Griffin and I are right. No, it's exactly what it seems like. Apparently, there are still a lot of movies that come out on Christmas, but there are also a lot of movies they try to put out the week before Christmas.
It's not like great movies that are coming out.
I mean, they put out both Color Purple and Ferrari on Christmas this year. Those are pretty significant freaking films, man. Those are blockbuster-type films. They also put out, there was another one.
Boys in the
Boys in the
Boat,
Boat was also on Christmas this year. Now,
I mean, I had interest in all of those, but
the previous year, to his point, the week before Christmas this year is when Iron Claw and Migration and Aquaman all came out. They came out on the 22nd. Now, part of that was the fact that Christmas was on a Monday, so you wanted to make sure you got the weekend out of it. So it might be now that like movie theaters or movie companies are deciding, hey, if Christmas falls on like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then maybe we try to get the film out to get the whole of the weekend and not just Christmas Day itself. But still plenty of them said, hey, Christmas Day is such a significant movie day that we want to have our film come out on Christmas. It's a little bit of both is what it appears to be. Moral of the story being, a lot of people are looking for things to do on Christmas. Because a lot of people are going to the movies. And as I said, those people have to work too. I understand. I really do understand. I just don't think it's quite the holier-than-thou statement that you're making. Like, I think that people believe there's some sort of, like, moral high ground about, well, how dare you do this? And there's also the flip side where people say, well, these guys are getting paid an awful lot of money. And that is true, but it doesn't mean, as people point out, that, like, the guy that's running the parking lot who's got to stand out in the cold is getting paid a whole lot of money. The football players are, so it's easy to say, like, I don't feel too bad for them. They're being compensated quite nicely with the trade-off just having to be that they don't get to work on Christmas. And for what it's worth, as a lot of them point out when you talk to them about it, because very few football players live in the town that they're from. That'll be different this year. Presuming Deontay Hardy makes the team, Malik Ham, obviously. There's a couple. Are there any other Baltimore guys on the team that I'm not thinking of? Any other natives on the team that I'm just blanking on?
No, because
well, I guess if Bo Braid were to make the team.
Yeah, Bo Braid.
He's not a Baltimore native, but
the other undrafted guys, yeah.
Close enough. Yeah, Jordan Tolles, but I mean that's a stretch. I think Bo Braid's the only one that you look at and say, you know, there's a real chance there. But it's a very small number of guys that are actually from here. So the dirty little secret is a lot of them don't do their holidays on the holiday anyway. A lot of them just try to pick a day that's convenient for their family to come visit, or they just agree that, like, once the season's over, they'll get together with their family back where they're from and make up for whatever holiday it was. So for the players themselves, a lot of times these teams have practices on the holiday. Like, a lot of times they practice on Thanksgiving. They practice on, at least do a walkthrough on Christmas to try to be ready for the week. So the players aren't the guys that, like, are really all that impacted by it that much. They would say, in fact, I bet there'd be some guys like, I don't know if I really mind all that Wednesday stuff because then I got the whole weekend afterwards to relax. We can get together with the family. In fact, a lot of them will be able to go home for Christmas because of playing on a Wednesday. That's the part of it that they won't talk about. Because the game's on a Wednesday, a lot of these dudes will be able to fly home on Thursday and come back on Sunday and spend real holiday time with their families that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to do.
So do you think the players might like it a lot?
And the a lot part, again, because it's mitigated by none of them really like the, I think Cal Hamilton tweeted like 10 or 3 games in 10 days, huh? You know, like
yeah.
Like that part of it is still a factor.
Then they'll have 10 days off and
it's a weird
off.
Yeah, off. The dichotomy there is difficult. Like, there are parts of it that they'll say, yeah, I don't mind that. Like, there will definitely be guys that will say publicly, I'm good with that. I play on the 25th, but then I got the 26th through the 28th to spend with my family and go back home. Love that. Or have them come up and visit us. Love it. And then there'll be other guys that'll say, nah, not so much. But I get it. The argument that some people make is it's not about the players. It's about the people that work at the stadiums and the people that work ancillary to the stadiums and the bars that now want to feel like they've got to be open because there's a game going on at the stadium and the people that work in the hotels and all that sort of stuff. Again, I don't know how to say this. A lot of those people will be working anyway. Not all of them, but a lot of them would. It's a tough thing, man. Where, like, I think your sentiment is good-natured. I think your heart might be in the right place. But truth be told, I just don't know that it's as deep as you think it is. And I think that the toothpaste is never going back in the tube. I'll tell you, I'm stunned by how many retailers started doing like the midnight thing for Black Friday the 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving thing, and then backed out of it. I thought that toothpaste would never go back in the tube.
Things would start on Wednesday,
But instead, a lot of retailers have said, no, we're not going to do the 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving thing anymore. We're done with that. Now, part of that might be just
because of
online, and it might really be that's if not for online, then
it would have been.
And there's you can't play online football.
Would have been Black Friday week.
Right. It might very well be that that's where it would have gotten to at some point. I don't know. Or that they just wouldn't have closed on Thanksgiving. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, until Madden becomes the new
They wanted to make
football.
They would never have opened it because they wanted to make it an event. And they figured people could have their Thanksgiving meals during the day and then come shop at night. They always wanted it to be an event. And it might very well be that it wasn't the event that they thought it was. They said, well, we erred on this one. Let's go back to Friday to try to force it to be an event again. But these things just don't tend to go back. And I appreciate what you think you're saying about Christmas, but I don't think it is what you think it is. I think there are people that maybe cover the Ravens that are really bummed about the fact that they're going to be away from their families every day. And I think that somebody else would say, if you want that day off, I'd be happy to do that job. And then they're like, well, okay, I'm not going to give up my job. I'm not going to do that. You have to make a sacrifice. I wanted to work in radio. So when I got into radio and the first thing I was asked was, hey, are you willing to work holidays? Hell yeah, because I wanted to work in radio. And that was a bummer. I had to coordinate. I still work on holidays sometimes. Not the way that I used to. But I go over and I worked on Thanksgiving on 105.7 last year. I did the morning show over there because I like having a job. It's a good thing for me. And if somebody's got to do it, and frankly, working 6 and 9 a.m. on Thanksgiving is not that. I don't go out. It's not like when I was a kid and I wanted to go out on the night before Thanksgiving. That ain't happening.
Oh, man, getting up for the Turkey Bowl was tough this past year.
Did you go out on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're still that age. That makes sense, right? Like, I get it. What time did you guys play your football game?
I think we had to be there at 9. I probably got there like 9:30, so I just slid right in.
I can't believe that people your age would pick that time. Why do you pick this?
I don't know. They
just
wanted
because
to.
you want to get out of the way before everybody has their.
Yeah.
If
then I had to leave. I think I had to leave early,
if you
too.
if you play it later, then nobody's going to show up because they all have to do their
I had to
Thanksgiving
get home before
stuff.
noon, so.
I've always wondered what people didn't just move those to Friday.
What, Turkey Bowl?
Yeah, like everybody's still home. All your friends from out of town are still
Usually.
there.
Well, Friday I had to work.
Oh, right. We had. That's a good point. That's a fair. All right. Fair point. Fair point. I guess there's no correct answer here.
Yeah.
How dare you play?
Bowl.
How dare you play Thanksgiving on a holiday? People could be spending time with their families, Griffin. How dare you?
I missed the parade. I guess that was a bummer, but
Oh, my younger son is still all in the parade. We've talked every year about this maybe being the year that we take him. But it's so different, dude. I have poked into how.
Have you ever gone?
No,
okay.
I don't know how you go. I don't know. And I
remember being into it when I was a kid too.
I still There's still a part of me that marks out for when Santa Claus shows up at the parade. That's the official start of it's Christmas now. There's still a part of me that's as the football
Snoopy
game
balloon
the football game's starting and the parade's ending.
Right.
I'm trying to do the dual screen thing. The dual screen. Where I'm we're not turning this off until we see Santa Claus.
And you have to flip over to the dog show for at least 5 minutes.
I don't watch.
Yeah,
it
you gotta switch over for.
I gotta tell. I respect that Calvert Hall Loyola means. We were just talking to Billy Dwan earlier about how it does mean a lot to a lot of people around here, and so I'm appreciative of it, and it's part of the fabric of the community in that way. But what I've always said to them is you got to understand, for the most part, if you're not a Calvert Hall or Loyola person, it's just the game that was on. If you woke up on Thanksgiving and you turn your TV on, you're that's a football game. Maybe you didn't actually care. There was no, if you didn't go to one of those schools or have someone in your life that was going to one of those schools, you didn't care. Mrs. Clark went to NDP. And apparently NDP and Blakefield are sister schools or brother, whatever you call that. Brother-sister schools.
Oh, okay.
So she like roots for Blake and is like hell bent on that's where our kids are going to go.
Oh, okay.
Like she roots for Blakefield. Like
I don't know how the brother-sister school thing works.
It is.
But if you're going to sell out for
that world, man, is so different, and Syrscuse, whatever it is. So like every year, she does her stupid. There's this fox hunt that goes on that I've talked about before. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of in my life. I went one year and said I'll never go again.
Fox hunt?
It's a Griffin.
Do I need to look
Griffin.
This up?
It's so stupid. John Colson knows. It's the dumbest. It's like if you ever read the short story. Here, come on. You can come in, Colson. If you ever read the short story The Lottery about how they chose to stone someone to death every year and it made no sense, this whole thing is nonsense.
It's a bunch of people in tweed.
They send out a single fox.
Yeah, and a bunch of
Then they
dogs.
send a bunch of dogs after the fox. And then they send a bunch of people on horses out after
in tweed.
Correct.
In little boots.
And none of it is real. Like, they're not actually hunting the fox. It's all just a ceremony. It's all just, this is what
the fox does not know that.
Yeah, the fox
Just to
feels
be
like it's being,
fair,
that's fair. The fox feels like it's
the
being
fox
hunted.
is like,
Yes,
this
that's
is real.
So they're not
100%.
they're not killing the
But
fox.
they're not, nobody's shooting the fox.
Well, if the dogs catch the fox.
No, they protect the fox.
Okay.
They protect the fox.
They call it the dogs.
But it's so stupid. By the way, that sounds dumb.
When is this?
It's Thanksgiving morning.
Oh.
It sounds dumb.
A lot of better
But wait
things.
till you find out how much dumber it is.
A lot of better things to do.
The hunt isn't really the thing that gathers the people. What gathers them is the blessing of the hounds.
Oh, yeah, the blessing of the hounds. That's what I've been
They
to.
gather at a church, and they force a clergyman to come out and offer a prayer for this bull-essery.
The clergyman loves it.
Yes!
He's getting paid.
In fact, the clergyman
And he gets to
allows
go to a party.
for all of these people to show up and get drunk at the church and then come out and bless this thing like it was real.
I've never sat here when you were yelling. It
Oh,
is
my God,
really
John.
loud.
John.
I'm always protected by
I
that,
can't
by
talk
that
about
glass that's
the
not.
blessing of the hounds without losing my mind.
I've been to the church.
Oh, it's right down the street from my house.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this clergyman comes out and prays over this thing like they were soldiers going to war.
Lot of people there too.
Oh, there are so many people. And Mrs. Clark every year says, tried to get me to go, and she was like, "Well, you'd love it. It's a
love it.
It's like a tailgate party, right? Like that's what
you don't
She
drink.
completely missold it.
Well, no, this is when I was at a time in my life when I was fatter and I enjoyed drinking. Right? She was like, "You would love this. It's a tailgate party. You come out, you eat bad food. It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The last thing I need in my life.
Oh my God,
You got to chill.
The headphones.
You're
I guess,
getting way
help
too
that,
worked
maybe.
up.
I don't know.
You're
Well, 'cause
getting
he
way
gets
too
away
worked
from the
up.
microphone
Yes, I
when he yells.
purposely step away from the microphone when I yell.
so
You
I
got to
can-
chill.
I can
You're
leave these
getting
on.
put your headphones on if you're struggling with it,
that's what I do.
or it's time for a hearing aid.
Oh
man.
my
I don't know.
God,
I don't know what to
that's
tell you.
so much better.
You are really you're making way too big a deal out of it.
I guess because you are kind of leaning towards him.
I guess because I'm trying to get away from the microphone because I don't want to yell into the microphone. That's the idea. So I swear to God, I go and I'm like, "What? I don't want more food. I want to eat food all day. That's how I'm going to spend my day. I don't want to get drunk now because then I'm going to fall asleep during the meals and the football game. That's the part of the day that I like.
Makes total sense.
Why would I want to be here?" And the theater is so absurd.
Does she take the kids?
Oh, does she take the kids? She takes the kids and dresses them up in their douchiest, preppiest
little
tweed
jackets.
It's
and-
her Met Gala.
It
Like,
sounds.
it is to horse people
Wearing
what
their
the
little
Met Gala
button-down
is.
shirts like I have on.
Yes. No. They're wearing this like sweaters, crew neck, like they're boat shoes.
Oh,
like
okay.
they're
I got
all
you.
of. I'm
I
sure
got you.
it's adorable, but it's as douchey
So this is a
as
battle
douchey
that you're
gets.
not picking. Here.
This is
There's
why.
no battle here.
Oh no!
There's not.
I went
There's not a
one.
battle.
I went one year
All
and
right.
said this will never happen.
The only
again.
battle is whether he'll go. There's
Oh,
no
okay.
battle.
Oh,
beyond
she's
that.
going every year.
And the kids are going.
It is the social event of the year for these people. This and the post-Hunt Cup party that I
Yes.
have to go to
The
every
same
year.
day or
No. The Hunt Cup was just a couple of weeks ago.
I
But
used to host one of those.
You didn't.
This
The one by
so-
my house is
it doesn't have anything to do with the
wild,
Fox
Jack.
ones.
The guy that played, I wish I could remember what his name
Do you know
was.
John Brown's store?
I know you.
I used to live on top.
You
Yeah,
told me that.
yeah.
You told me that. Hang on a second. Hang on. What is this guy? I got to find this guy's name because Warrington. That's his name. Warrington is this guy's name. So I'm at the post-Hunt Cup party one year. And by the way, she always gets mad at me about what I wear to that too. I'm over it. And I go because have I showed you a picture of the crab dip?
You have.
You'll understand.
No, I'll tell you. I saw it because you posted it on Facebook.
I posted it on Twitter, I think. I posted
Or
this
Twitter,
year.
yeah. It was somewhere.
This thing. Okay.
The post-Hunt Cup party is where you find...
You literally posted a picture of the crab dip.
It ain't crab dip. It's just crab dip.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's
some spices, some
unbelievable.
crab meat, and a little
it's
mayo
unbelievable.
or something.
So she still gets me to go every year because...
The crab dip.
That. Now, and I also like the people, some of the people. I'm there one year at the post-Hunt Cup party, and I start talking to this guy. And he's like talking about going to Comic Cons or something like that. I'm like, he's talking about signing autographs. I'm like, who is this guy? And I come to find out he played Jason in Friday the 13th.
Oh, you did?
And he's just at a party like right across the street from my house. That's the big post-Hunt Cup party.
And literally nobody knows who he is because Jason.
He's not wearing a mask. He's not. But that's his life now. Is he just goes to Comic Cons from town to town and poses for pictures and signs things the rest of his life because he played Jason in Friday the 13th.
Not a bad gig.
Yeah. Oh, great gig if you can get it. But yeah, the Blessing of the Hounds every Thanksgiving.
He went to like local prep school and the whole bit.
100%. Yeah. He's part
Got
of
a gig
this.
is playing Jason.
He rides horses. He does the whole thing. Like they all ride horses, and I'll never be a part of that world. But my wife is.
Have you tried to ride the horse?
No.
Really?
And I'm good. She got mad about that at first. I'm good.
Oh, that you wouldn't ride the horse.
Yeah. She wanted me to go on like trail rides with her.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not like I'm afraid of it. I'm not.
Sounds to me
It's just
like you might be.
It's not. Chad, I jumped out of a plane.
That's a good point.
I went rappelling down a building despite the fact that no one.
I engineered both of those things.
No one bothered to tell me how to do it.
Oh, I know. I did it too.
Yeah,
to be
but
fair.
you had done it the year before.
Yeah.
I was hanging off the side of a building and they kept yelling, "Go!" And I was like, "How?"
No, I did. Yeah.
You never gave me any instructions. You just suited me
It was
up
fine.
and dangled me off the side of a building and said, "Go."
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do in order to go?
He was like dangling up on the building, spinning, and I'm like lowering myself.
John was down on the ground for. We
That
both
sounds
both
scary.
were on the side
We
of the
started
building
at the same time.
and John was down for 15 minutes.
I'm like, what do you think?
Before I ever figured out how to go, I'm just hanging off.
This is the training for.
What building was it?
We literally rappelled down the side of a building.
What building was it?
It was
Bromo Central Tower.
it
42
was
North
Charles Hopkins Center there.
And how many floors were there?
35.
Yeah, something
it
like
was
that.
Way up.
Yeah,
there.
it was way up there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just hanging on.
For kidney,
and John just went right down because he knew what he was doing because he had done it the year before.
I did it the year before.
Nobody told me what the.
I looked like I was in a movie, man. Yeah.
Like they kept telling us
next to Glenn.
And it's windy AF.
Glenn's dangling.
Oh,
I'm just
man, this is terrible.
The guy's literally like, dude, go. And I'm like, right, I don't know how to. Is there a button I'm supposed to press? It was bizarre. So yeah, I'm not afraid of it. I'll do anything. I just don't have any interest in it. It doesn't.
Okay.
To ride a horse for what? What's that going to do?
The same reason you'd go
Am I gonna
for
be
a
John
walk
Wayne
or,
now?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
To be more
Go be
in
a
touch
cowboy.
with
You need a sidearm, a little shotgun with you.
That's what it's going to be.
And the crossed bullets.
How do we get? Oh, we were talking about Thanksgiving in Loyola, and she loves Loyola because that was their their sister's school or whatever. It was
okay.
So she loves Blakefield, and so now she wants to go to the stupid Hounds
Turkey Bowl.
No, she doesn't want to go to the game.
Okay.
She just wants to watch the game.
Okay.
So she does. I do now. It's worked out perfectly for me now that the radio show's an option. Whenever they ask about Thanksgiving and so he wants to work,
I'm in.
I'm like, man, sorry,
really
baby.
need me.
I just
Gotta
can't
work.
make it out.
Got a family
Meanwhile,
to
Chuck's
raise.
like, are you sure you don't want to have Drew do it this year? I'm like, no, I'll be okay. I'll step up and do it. I did it by myself the last couple of years. I didn't have Rita.
Drew's probably in church blessing people and doing whatnot.
Blessing the hounds.
I think they go.
He
to
might be blessing
no,
the
I think they
hounds.
go out
Does
of
he-
town. I
Okay.
think they go out of town for.
You sure he
golf-
doesn't
brick
bless the
golf.
hounds?
No, he's
gotta be a
Catholic,
big golf
but he's
weekend.
not horse country Catholic.
I know, but
Like,
you know.
it's a different type of Catholic. Like,
What kind of cat?
it's funny that Drew was in here making fun of Harrison Butker yesterday. I was like, I think that a lot of people in your world are probably more in line with Harrison
I was a little
Butker.
surprised he just didn't come out and support the whole thing.
It caught me up. It was very unlike Drew. Like Drew making fun of Harrison Butker was not on my bingo card for yesterday. Proctor gave me the worst. Oh God! All right, Proctor later in the day said, "You know what you missed for Would You Rather Wednesday?" Said you lost a fantasy bet. You lost your fantasy league this year, and the punishment was for the entire football season. You have to wear a jersey of the rest of the league's choosing. Would you rather that jersey be a Hines Ward jersey or a Harrison Butker jersey?
Ooh, I'd have to go with Hines Ward.
100%. Like, you have no choice.
So here's my thing about Drew.
You wear a Harrison Butker jersey out at this point. You're
going to get beat up.
Correct.
Yeah. So Harrison Butker or Antonio Brown jersey?
I'd have to go with Antonio Brown probably on that right today.
He's
today.
Sexually assaulted.
Today. I'm just saying you wouldn't be
it's
as recognized.
More recent. Yeah, it's a more recent.
I'm not saying it's a
issue.
lesser situation. I'm just saying if I had to run down the street
like
with
people
one
might
jersey
not
on,
connect you with it at this point.
What? Maybe then it's shirtless because that's the new Antonio Brown jersey.
It is the Antonio Brown jersey. He's not wearing a shirt.
Well, I'm pretty sure Drew though. He was really coming out against the stupidity of Butker's statement, not the statement. He was really coming out.
Even that, I still think for like
he was saying really stupid for him to say that on the air.
Given how Catholic Drew is, I'm just a little. It was caught me a little off guard.
Now we're gonna have a bunch of angry.
I don't have no issue if you're Catholic.
I don't either.
I got my kids in a Catholic school. They're always asking why we don't go to mass. Like,
so you're welcome to.
You can go. I'm not preventing you
I'll
from
drop you
going.
off.
I'm just not Catholic.
Yeah.
It's very difficult whenever I'm around the parents and like the parents are all Catholic.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, dude, I'm not gonna be joining you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just not. I'm not. I don't go to temple either. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not Catholic. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Episcopalian. I'm not any of those.
You're nothing.
But I have no beef with any of it.
What are you? You're like nothing.
I was brought up non-denominational Christian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't really. My beef is just the way that like they treated gay people more than anything else. That was my only real beef about it. I'm still good with all the other try to be a good person. I like that. Let's try to be good people. Let's take care of the lesser folks. Let's do all those things. But like, hey, maybe we don't be a-holes. Just a thought.
Did you talk about our visit yesterday?
Yeah, I figured when we announced the.
Oh, I think it's kind of cool.
We had
a great interview yesterday. I'll just say that.
We had a good, productive day. It's going to be related to the next print issue of Press Box.
I was going to put a picture of me with him up on LinkedIn, but I guess I shouldn't do that now.
I thought that was a bit much.
I didn't do it.
You take selfies.
He asked me. He literally came over to me and said, "Do you want a selfie?"
Oh,
I wasn't even. I was just standing there.
Imagine John turning him down.
Yeah, I mean, literally, what was I going to say at that point?
I was like, "Really? Is this what we're doing?"
I did not, and I knew not to.
I was ready to strangle you.
I was ready
to strangle you. At the beginning, when we were already running late.
Okay, now I want to hear about it.
Because we were with.
Well,
we were with someone whose time has to be blocked out, and they were running late to begin with, and I didn't know was that going to eat into my time? And we get in, and this is a very conversational person, and John's trying to connect with them, like, hey, I know this, I know so and so. And now they're in a conversation.
That was 20 seconds.
It was not 20 seconds.
It was 20
John,
seconds.
It was not 20 seconds.
Building
now,
relationship
it wasn't
here.
10. It wasn't.
They were still arranging chairs.
It wasn't 10 minutes either. No, they weren't still arranging chairs. We were ready to go, and I was so just like, dude, if this costs me.
Do you know what that interview was? Exactly 26 minutes.
Well, how about that?
No, isn't that fascinating? Because they said you got 25 minutes.
They said we had 25.
The actual talking time was exactly 26 minutes.
It was a good conversation. It was good. Look, it's not earth shattering. It's somebody that we've had on the show before. It's someone that I've known for a long time, but it was a good formal conversation that will be the cover story for our next print issue of Press Box. And
so I can't post it. Huh?
If you want to post it, John. I don't care.
Glenn's saying you cannot.
Normally we wait until a little bit closer to the release of the print issue to try to drive the interest in it for when we announce that. So I don't typically. I didn't say on the show yesterday where I was going. I just said I got to duck out early because I got a thing I got to do, and it's for the print issue. And it was a very good. I mean, it wasn't earth shattering. There wasn't a lot of breaking news in there.
It's just not often you get the commissioner of the NFL.
It's not been a guest on this show before. Although I do remember when he came to Baltimore for like a preseason game one year. I had to fill in. This is back when if the beat writer couldn't make it out, we still Sure. It was a different era of our coverage of the team. And so Caitlin Wilson was just like, hey, I need you to go out. And, like, you know how much I hate doing preseason.
press thing,
Like,
yeah.
like, I wouldn't mind it in certain circumstances, but particularly the idea of being at a preseason football game, like, makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
And yet, because I was a good soldier, Caitlin was like, hey, could you go out and do this for – I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go out. And it just so happened to be that Roger Goodell was there that day and was doing like a Q&A with fans ahead of time and then was doing a gaggle with reporters. And I think that there were probably 8 reporters that were there, part of the gaggle. And he probably took 12 questions, and I got 3 of them in, right? Because, like, I legitimately had real questions that were Baltimore-centric. Like, that back then, why wouldn't – it was something like, why would you give the draft to cities that are in the Super Bowl rotation? Wouldn't it make more sense to – and I don't think I asked it that way. I just think a different way of asking, like, wouldn't it make sense for cities like Baltimore to be in the rotation for the draft because they're not going to be in the rotation for the Super Bowl? And I think I asked, like, 3 questions. And I remember someone who worked for the Ravens being like, you know, you really think that it was you that should be asking questions of Roger Goodell? And I was, like, of all the times where I've just said, you know what, I'm not going to bother coming over
I'm going to be
anymore.
curious about a name after that.
I'll tell you afterwards. I'll tell you afterwards.
Bet we guess.
I don't think you have to try all that hard.
No.
I don't think you have to try all that hard.
It wasn't somebody that used to be there. It's somebody that's still there.
Yep. That's still there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, when they want to know why it is I don't come over much anymore.
Yeah.
They know. They should know.
They don't know. He knows, but they don't.
They should. They should know. They should know why it is that I don't bother anymore. Like, days like that. Like, no, I had real questions.
Yeah?
I had real questions that were really valuable.
Did he answer them? Yeah.
Yeah, he did the same.
In his
bull-ass
Well, we
nonsense.
consider all things.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I think it's very
looking at
possible
it,
that one day there could be a draft involved. Yeah, I get it. I get it, but it didn't. Like, why would Dallas get a draft? Why?
Yeah.
They're in the rotation for the Super Bowl. Why do they need a draft? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? You got
now they're doing Detroit and Green Bay. Like, so
that
they're
makes
doing
sense.
It. Yeah.
Yes, it makes sense for the cities that aren't in the rotation for the Super Bowl.
Although to be fair, Detroit's had Super Bowl, right?
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, but they got one, and I don't know that they're going to get another one.
More than
there.
Baltimore's had.
That's true. That is a fair point. But, like, Green Bay is never going to host the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It makes sense for Kansas City is not a Super Bowl city. Put the draft in Kansas City. Baltimore's not a Super Bowl city. Put the draft in. The Super Bowl goes to some cities. The draft should go to the cities that aren't getting the Super Bowl. I just don't feel like that should be all that difficult to Cleveland is the perfect city to host a draft.
Yep. There's nothing like a giant, meaningless event being hosted in your city.
You say that, except for the fact that 200,000 people descended upon.
I'm just
something like that.
There's
draft?
nothing more boring than
dude,
the NFL draft. To me.
It's not a spectator.
But I agree with you.
Although everybody that went when it was in Philadelphia, all the Ravens fans that I talked to were like, "Dude, we had the best time."
They just had a party, huh?
It was a party. There was stuff going on. There was music. There was
typical NFL. They know how to do it,
and you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
Unlike the Super Bowl, that you got to pay $10,000 in order to get in. Like, you don't have to pay a penny in order to go up and be a part of the draft. So
no wonder 300,000 people.
Yeah, it does make some sense. And it just, however many years ago, it made sense to me that that's the way that you should go about doing it. Draft in non-Super Bowl cities. There are Super Bowl cities, there are draft cities, and go do it that way. And apparently, how dare I be the one to ask the question?
Exactly.
How dare I? Anything else you want to plug?
No, I wanted to plug that other thing, but I'm not allowed
if
to.
You're the business. You're the whatever. What are you, CFO? What are you?
I don't know.
Managing partner or whatever.
I go back there and
run the business.
I try and stick.
I'm just the guy with the microphone.
I try and stick corks in the holes where the leaks are coming, so the ship doesn't sink.
Just the guy trying to put everything together. So if you want to talk about it, talk about it.
I'll wait. I will rest on the logic of the people that know what they're doing.
When does it hit the
June
newsstands?
14th.
So maybe at the start of June, we can announce what the next cover of Pressbox is.
Yep.
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit, it's a little bit different.
Be fun.
Yep.
It's also a travel issue, just as an
good.
aside.
How about that?
I'll do all the cool sports things in Maryland.
I'm for all of it. I still have way too much doing. I got to take another break. I got to do. I got to do
Okay,
Ticket
guys,
Tubular,
Tafara
Gapare. You got fighting words.
Good fighting words.
All right. Well, we can do a
Okay,
little bit of fighting words. Thanks, John Coles. This is what the show is. I mean, this is what you're getting. You guys aren't new. It's not like somebody tuned in for the first time today and said, "What is this?" Yeah, you guys know. Today's show brought to you by Sports and Social. The best place to hang out, watch every live event is at Sports and Social. You know what? You want to make Sports and Social the sponsor of
Yeah,
your thing?
Yeah,
Let's
we
just
can
do.
do
Fighting Words is brought to you by Sports and Social, the best place to watch all of the fights. Now, Griffin will tell you about them.
It's Fighting Words with Griffin Bass.
Okay, so the boxing I think took over the past weekend took kind of center stage here. What?
I played this clip the other night on the radio.
Which one?
Them screwing up the.
Yeah. Well, did you get Testator's reaction?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead. You can go ahead and share it. Like we didn't do it on this show. Go ahead. So the Lomachenko fight was Saturday night on ESPN. It was a top-ranked boxing card. Actually, Lomachenko won, right?
So Loma destroyed him. Like
Yeah.
it was in Perth, Australia. So
Yeah.
he went into Cambosa's house, and it was a clinic. He body shot KO in the 11th round.
Earlier in the card, there was a women's fight.
It happened. So it happened twice. So
I didn't know it happened twice.
So the first fight of the main card,
Yeah.
it was it was so bad. This guy Andrew Maloney, he was pissed afterwards too. But the ring announcer read the card all weird. Like he said, I don't know how I forget exactly how he did it, but it was so strange.
I did see that. It wasn't the same thing. It was just they didn't like it. It wasn't what you're used to from a ring announcer.
Mhm.
This was far more problematic.
Yes, it was.
There was a women's fight, and I don't remember the name of the fighters, unfortunately. Jackson, I want to say, was Hines. I believe
Sugar, whatever name, or the nickname of the girl was Sugar.
I believe one of them was named Hines. The other one might have been named Jackson. And it goes the distance, and it goes to the cards. So this ring announcer, whose name is Lieutenant Dan Hennessy, comes into the ring and reads the winner of the fight. No problem. Might be some disagreement about who should have won the fight, but no problem. I'll allow you to listen in because it gets more adventurous from there, from ESPN.
I was going to play.
Oh.
I was going to play just Testator's reaction. Or, I think I have all the clips if we want.
Well, do you have them ready? Can you do it now? Okay. All right. Maybe not.
I want to clean up this absolute clown show garbage
that's
amateur hour
Testator.
we saw with
Well,
the
this
ring
is my favorite
announcer
part
moments
of it.
ago. Bernardo, what can you tell us?
Yeah, there was heartbreak from Menina Hughes, and then heartbreak
All right,
first.
all right.
from
So
Shanika
this
Johnson.
doesn't
I
work
have
because nobody knows.
actual
The people don't know what
scorecard,
happened.
And Lieutenant Dan Hennessy
You can't do it in this
admitted
order.
that
People don't know
he
what
read the
happened.
scores improperly. So
Like,
the winner
Well, we were
was
jumping around, 'cause I
Shanika
also had
Johnson
an order that I was
from
gonna
the
go
jump.
in,
It was
so I was
just
trying to-
announced
But
improperly.
you got to actually play the
That
audio
takes
of what
care
occurred
of that.
in
Let's
order to
move
play the
on,
reaction.
and let's hope that he can read the scorecards
You can't
properly.
play the reaction without knowing what occurred because it makes no sense. Why is Joe Testator trashing this guy? We'll work all this out before it makes air, though. We're going to edit all this out before it ever makes air. We're going to be good. So this guy, Lieutenant Dan Hennessy, goes to read the winner of the fight, reads the scores, and reads the winner, and the winner celebrates. And then like the nothing, no, all of a sudden he just says, okay, here we go.
And by the way, Nakamura, who had that 98-92 scorecard, will be the referee for Lomachenko.
95. Keatley scores the competition 96-94. Nakamura 98-92 for your winner by majority. Fighting out of the blue corner. Sugar beats Joe.
Is this guy for real?
Okay, so here's the man.
Is
obviously
this
we're
guy
talking
Lieutenant
about
Dan Hennessy?
You need the whole thing.
For real.
Get
He
this
reads
dude
the
up out of here, man.
scores and reads a winner. Then that woman is celebrating, and all of a sudden he says, "Fighters back to the middle of the ring." And then that's what you hear. So you miss the part where he reads a score. It's not correct. The scores, I guess, are correct. He just read the wrong winner.
Yes, correct.
He said the wrong name of the winner. Then doesn't say, there's been a mistake, I've made an error. And he just says, back to the center of the ring, and just reads it all over again and reads a different winner. At which point, Joe Tess blows up and loses his mind and says, what the F?
So this clip I'm about now, the clip I'll play again is they went to break and then they came back and Joe and he's also not on site, which
it doesn't help anything. Nothing has helped. This is doing a broadcast from a studio. It's so effing insane. I get it. It costs a lot to fly somebody to Australia. Maybe there's somebody in Australia that could call the fight this time. Or if not, if you think it's so important that it be Joe Tess, then fly him to Australia. Go ahead.
I want to clean up this absolute clown show, garbage amateur hour we saw with the ring announcer moments ago. Bernardo, what can you tell us?
From the jump, it was just announced improperly.
All right, that takes care of that. Let's move on.
So what
and let's
happened?
hope that
What
he
we
can
find
read
out
the scorecards properly when we have our World
this
Championship
guy.
fight. I want to clean
This isn't
up
so.
this
A lot of
absolute.
comparisons were made to the La La Land Moonlight thing from the Oscars.
Right.
Well, Warren Beatty, we found out, was just given the wrong card. He was given the card that had, I think he was given Emma Stone's card. So when he opened it up, he saw Emma Stone La La Land and just read out La La Land because he saw La La Land on the card. This is not that. The guy was handed the correct information. He just said the name of the wrong winner. Which, mistakes happen. I get it. But that's like, your job when you're in this is to be authoritative. We know this as broadcasters. We make mistakes all the time. But a ring announcer is not broadcasting constantly. A ring announcer only speaks for a few seconds. Your job in that moment, reread the card, read it twice, make sure you got it, and deliver. Was Joe Tess a bit over the top? Yeah, he was a bit over the top.
So in the first card, I guess I should have found the clip of the first fight that was right before this women's fight, because he butchered the way he read it, but like he announced like the right winner, so like the celebration afterwards went.
Yeah, and it made it
correctly.
for a really awkward scene. That's the part of what was missed here. It was a very awkward scene in the ring because like even after he reads the next winner, the woman who was the actual winner of the fight had no like celebration in her because it was so bizarre that she was like, "Hey, are you gonna in 3 seconds do this all again?"
And he was
tell
doing
me?
like the in the ring interview as well afterwards. The ring announcer guy. So it was weird and then the
hell
first
is
guy.
that? Why would that be the case?
And so I don't know, Perth.
There are people in Perth. You don't have to have the same person do all of the jobs.
But so Andrew Maloney was pissed that he lost to Pedro Guevara, and he thought he had won, and then the card was read all incorrectly, but he like announced that Pedro won, which was what they ruled. So he immediately got into it, and he was like F this sport, I'm retiring, which was
Well,
like,
this guy,
crazy.
by the way, this guy Dan Hennessy quit.
He did?
Like he said on Facebook this week, and I think part of it was like he was looking for empathy, like he was looking for. And it's a fine line, right? Like, I do think that Joe Tess was over the top. And I think that part of it, to your point, was his frustration about not being there.
Right.
Like there's more coming out in what Joe Tess, like I think that he might have been taking his frustration out on the entire situation when he was taking his frustration out on Dan Hennessy. And, like, I get it. People make mistakes. But the answer might be, if you're making this many mistakes, that this is not the job for you. Like, people make mistakes. That does happen. I make mistakes constantly on this show. When I do play-by-play, that happens. But when your job is to be the ring announcer, you can't make these types of mistakes. And if you can't do that, then it just, again, might not be your line of work. There's plenty of things that you're probably plenty capable of doing. It just might not be this. That's okay. So he put out this thing on Facebook, like, I'm not going to be your punching bag anymore. I already agreed to do one more fight. I'm not going to back out of that, but then after that, I'm done.
I mean, maybe people were being hard on him, but
This is one of those you got one job situations. Yeah. Like, it's not like somebody that's talking all the time.
Right.
You got one job.
He wasn't right. Like he was straight up
And again,
wrong.
it's completely different if he was handed the wrong card. If he's handed the wrong card, then like, everybody immediately says like, dude, get off his ass. Like, he was handed the wrong card. He was because that's happened to me too, where I have been given information that was bad information. But this isn't that. He just said the name of the wrong fighter.
So it distracted a little bit from the fact that Vasily Lomachenko put on a clinic against George Kambosos Jr. and body shot TKO in the 11th round, which was big because I did end up pulling the trigger right before the fight.
Look at you.
Loma knockout.
Look at you.
Which was good because I struggled with the UFC St. Louis.
What got into Derek Lewis after that fight, by the way? What's up with him?
I mean, that's what he does.
I guess.
Because there's people, finally. Like, half the time he's fighting in the Apex.
So he's trying to get some WWE stuff?
With Derek Lewis? I mean, maybe. Who knows? I don't know if
it would make
a
lot of. It would make a lot of. I think it would make a lot of sense for him.
I guess like one.
Yeah, he's not going to
events.
He's not going to wrestle like
every Monday. He's not
Daniel
gonna
Bryan wrestles. He's going to be he would be a an event guy. He's not going to be Brock Lesnar either. Let's make that abundantly clear. But he'd be somewhere between those two things, where like he could. And I think part of it is accepting what he is now, kind of as a UFC fighter, which is like he's fun and he can be a draw.
Yeah, and he also plays into that. Like,
but he's never going to be a champion again. He's never going to be.
He's like, I don't need any more main events.
Right.
These 5-rounders, I don't need preparing for them. And
so it would make sense now that they're under the same umbrella for him to say like, and I guess Dana said afterwards, unlike in the past when we were in different companies and I was getting pretty pissed about like WWE trying to like poach fighters.
Right, because they couldn't. Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Ronda.
I don't like that myself. I've said that before. Like you are really. It goes back to my CM Punk problem. Like you're walking in the line between. Like if this guy's doing illegitimate things, then how do I know that this is legitimate and this isn't? How are you protecting that? And I don't. Me personally, I can see why, like, Derek Lewis, it's easier to say, like, dude.
He's starching people. He's
like, I could see it more for him. I don't think I would want top UFC fighters doing that. I think that would be very bad, and there would be unintended consequences of that. Like, making appearances is one thing. Showing up and, like, but actually participating, I don't think that's good. I think that's where it ends up crossing a line, and it becomes more problematic, and it invites you to let people wonder about how legitimate your product is. And you've given them plenty of reason to wonder about the legitimacy of your product over the years.
I mean, yeah. I mean, CM Punk's not fighting for any titles, though. And
I understand that, but CM Punk shouldn't have been fighting at all.
I believe that the sanctity of MMA is still
You believe that.
in the balance.
You're
very
a fan.
Much.
God bless you for that, right?
I mean, these guys aren't going out there.
They're also jumping out of USADA testing.
Getting knocked out. That is true.
I
mean, they do need to figure that out.
I love you, and I know you're a fan.
Or just say, yeah,
Go ahead and everybody use steroids. We don't,
Yeah.
This is the problem. You want to ignore the stuff because you're a fan. It's fine. Be a fan. But trying to pretend like there isn't real reason to wonder about legitimacy of all of it is nonsense. Be a fan anyway. Like, I'm totally cool with that, being a fan. But to pretend like it's crazy for me to suggest that I think they have legitimacy problems is nonsense. They have legitimacy problems. There have absolutely been times where they have prioritized someone that they think is going to be a draw getting an opportunity for a fight over someone that has earned it. That happens
And that's just part
constantly.
of fighting, though. I mean, that happens in boxing. That happens
it.
everywhere.
And boxing has dealt with a lot of legitimacy problems. Overwhelming. This is what happens when you play into theater over sport. You get this. This is why in real sports there are tournaments. You can't just say, hey, sure.
This is the best guy.
The Chargers didn't make the playoffs this year, but Justin Herbert's more of a draw than insert
Joe
quarterback,
Flacco.
Whoever it is. So we're going to put them in anyway. Like, that doesn't happen in real sports. You can't ignore these things as being problematic. You can say, hey, it's part of it. And again, if you're a fan anyway, you're a fan anyway. But to pretend like it doesn't question the legitimacy of it is just doing that for your own edification. Like, it's not me saying stop watching or you're a bad person if you watch the UFC. I like Derek Lewis too. I think he's fun as hell. But you can't pretend like these things aren't things either. You got to deal with both of them. And to say, hey, I acknowledge that and I like it anyway. Cool. Totally cool.
I acknowledge that these are real guys trying to fight and win and knock the other guy out or submit the guy.
Overwhelmingly believe that. Overwhelmingly, I believe that to be the case. I absolutely think that we have had instances, much like the Ryan Garcia thing recently, right? I think there have been plenty of instances where what someone's actual interests were going into a fight could be questioned. But I think you could question that about a lot of athletes.
Well, so then how do I handle I guess a good example is everyone that watches MMA can believe that Bilal Muhammad has earned his right to a title shot, but everyone that also watches also is like, I really don't want to watch him fight Leon Edwards, because Bilal Muhammad doesn't put on crazy exciting performances.
Then you have to accept that I would prefer some of the WWE-ification of the sport. You have to accept that. Again, there's nothing wrong with saying I like that.
Okay,
but
I mean,
you don't
like that.
But you don't get to do the thing where then you act holier than thou when I say, hey, that's a problem.
Okay, I mean, but
you can't do that.
Like the CM Punk thing was years ago, and again, it was.
But it wasn't just CM Punk either. They put the boxer that had absolutely no business being in. I can't even think of who it was.
I don't know. I'm thinking.
Jesus Christ.
Greg Hardy's one that shouldn't have been in the UFC and like.
Definitely shouldn't have been in the UFC, but I think they treated that probably in a better way than they treated CM Punk. Like CM Punk should have had to have gone through.
Fighting
or the Ultimate Fighter or something like that.
Okay.
Like that's what they did to what was the
Contender Series or something.
Kimbo Slice, who had actually had real fights under his belt at that point. They said, you want to be a part of this, despite the fact that you're a draw, you got to go through this. I appreciate that. Like that's the way it should have been. And if they had done that with CM Punk and whittled out the fact that he clearly couldn't do it, then I wouldn't have the same horrible taste in my mouth. They let someone who had no ability to do it. It's also impacted the way that I feel about CM Punk, by the way. Like, I always think that his ego is the most important thing that like he cares about.
Well, I mean, with
what?
Like, isn't that sometimes the point with some
sometimes
of the, like,
in that's on screen, like that does matter.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when he when he went to AEW, and everybody was like, "This is such a good thing," I was like, "Nah, this is gonna blow up in your face." Like, this is going to blow up in your face because CM Punk's always going to care most about CM Punk.
So and he's going to want to go back to WWE somehow.
Well, no, he ended up getting into an actual backstage fight with another professional wrestler.
Oh, you believe that was an actual backstage fight?
No, that was legitimate. Straight shoot.
I don't remember.
No, this was 100%. He got into a fight with God, what's Luke Perry's son? Jack Perry.
Is it
straight
bad?
shoot?
Would you say
that's
that was
why
bad
CM Punk's
when
out of
that
AEW?
Happened? Oh, okay. Would you say that was bad for?
It was horrible
WWE and AEW.
For WWE, it's different.
Okay.
It's a completely different thing. That the AEW had to
trying to learn.
They had to release CM Punk because of it. Like they had no choice. And then WWE was like, "Well, maybe your ego's bruised to a point where you're going to come on back to us." And as it turns out, it was. Like his ego was bruised enough that he came on back.
Okay. So anyway, all of this distracted the ring stuff. Just to wrap
it's
up
12:22.
Loma,
We have too much to do.
So
Son
Loma,
of a bitch.
so Teddy Atlas, Loma's former trainer, came out and said that a great fight, a great next fight for Loma would be Tank.
No, we've been saying that for 4 years,
obviously, and Tank showed a lot of interest on Twitter, obviously, after the fight as well. So he's got to get through Frank Martin. Yeah, Frank Martin.
Yeah.
So he believes he will.
I mean, I think most people assume that he will. Yes.
And so the reason I did terrible in the UFC card, the guy I kept was banging the drum for, Rebelis to Spain, terrible.
Oh.
Terrible.
Way to go.
One of the worst UFC fights I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he just gave up after. So Waldo Cortez Acosta took him down once each round, and that was the end of the round. He just laid on top of him for 4.5 minutes, and they start on the feet, and Despain just looked disinterested the next 2 rounds. So it was one of my worst calls ever. So fortunately, I did have a parlay with Derek Lewis and a few of the Joaquin Buckley looked good. Carlos Alberg looked very good.
Okay.
So I was able to get my money back there. But yeah, Despain was terrible.
All right.
Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. Yes, they are fighting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It is a $70 pay-per-view on ESPN Plus. It's all day. The card starts at noon.
I thought it was on DAZN. It's on ESPN.
It's on
Plus?
DAZN as well.
Okay.
Yeah. It's both ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Like that's how we'll have to get it if you want it. I mean, that should be a great fight. I think the ring walk is like
6 o'clock.
Yeah,
right?
6 o'clock. Well, they said that for what was the last whatever Anthony Joshua's last fight was, and it didn't start until like close to 7, so it may be close. But about 6 o'clock. Start looking around. Is about the time that will begin. And yeah, I mean, it should just be a great fight. I mean, everyone knows Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk has 2 wins. He's undefeated. Coming off of a knockout of Daniel Dubois, and so it should be the odds are pretty much even. I really don't. I mean, I don't have a strong. I mean, these are both guys at heavyweight though. This is their prime. Like Usyk's 37 and Fury's in his 40s. Like, I don't know. I do not have strong analysis for it. It's just I think it should be. Hopefully it's a great fight. Hopefully we don't have any ring announcers screwing anything up.
Admittedly, I'm always entertained by Tyson Fury. So
yeah, so.
I hate admitting that, but I am always entertained.
Well, I mean, you should.
You sure it's on ESPN Plus? I think it's just on DAZN. I'm searching on ESPN Plus right now.
Okay. I could have sworn because I was looking at
like you can watch the press conference on ESPN Plus. You can watch the weigh-in, but I got. Here it is.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Good.
You can watch on ESPN Plus. All right. Very good.
So that is Saturday. Yeah. And there is a UFC card. It's one of the worst I've ever seen. Angela Hill is fighting, so you can be excited about that. But it is a very, very ugly card in the UFC this weekend. So
Where is it?
The Apex.
Oh, it makes it even worse.
It does.
Makes it even worse.
It's one of I can't defend it. Angela Hill's fighting. That is the only thing worth noting. Honestly.
All right, it's very good.
I can't help you make money. I'm sorry.
It's that bad.
I like Ariane
Carnelossi
because she's plus 185.
If Barbosa's on this card.
Edson Barbosa's fighting. But I mean, at this point in his career,
I get it. But it's at least somebody I've heard of.
Yeah. It is somebody I've heard. Chaos Williams has a fun name. He's fighting Carlston Harrison in the co-main event. But I mean, like none of these guys are. I mean, everyone on this fight on this.
Yeah,
card
I don't see a lot of rankings on this card.
Everyone is maybe at closest 4 fights, maybe from a even a contender like a title eliminator bout type. Maybe Angela Hill might be the closest.
There's a guy on this card that has one name.
Are you looking at Omar Sy?
No, there's a guy on this card that has one name.
Alateng Lee.
Yes.
I do like him.
It's like Madonna. He's got or McLovin. One name.
I do like him, but again, I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna throw that as advice just because these guys are. These is the bottom of the barrel of the UFC. The loser of every fight may be right on the cutting room floor.
All right, we got to get a break. We got to do a tidbit and tubular, and we got to Tafara Gapare. Like we just have way too. I don't know what we had nothing. This was not a.
It's the NFL schedule release, honestly.
That's what it was. It was not a loaded show.
Essentially, it turned into an
hour. And I think I just said the same thing over and over again, and then we started talking about the Hounds. It was a whole deal. So we'll come back in, do all that to wrap it up. I'm sorry. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
What company makes your home more energy efficient, purifies your air, kills all viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates? A.J. Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather.
See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub. Sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor, dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson profiles Grayson Rodriguez, talking to people who have been part of his path as the Orioles hope he'll become their next homegrown ace. Also inside, we remember legendary Maryland basketball coach Lefty Drizel with stories from legends like Roy Williams and Bobby Cremins about what it was like to go up against the old left-hander. Press Box is available at over 500 locations around Baltimore, including 60 Royal Farm stores. You can also find the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The Ed Block Courage Award Foundation has been working in partnership with the NFL for 46 years to support abused, neglected, and at-risk youth across the country, partnering each team with a children's facility or program that supports the well-being of those in need. Annually, one player from each team is selected by their peers to receive the Courage Award for their inspiration on and off the field. Learn more about how the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation makes a difference, and be sure to check out their latest podcast and web series episodes at edblock.org.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy. when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we are winding down. I think we are anyway for a Thursday edition of the program. Don't forget, County Sports Zone has everything you need to know for championship season in boys and girls lacrosse, and then coming up in baseball and softball. Find it all, countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. You know, John in Little Rock did mention to me, and I wanted to bring it up. It is weird. They made it official yesterday, the basketball event that's happening at CFG Bank Arena, and it is oddly 2 Virginia teams versus 2 Pennsylvania teams in the 2 games.
To keep Maryland or something?
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. We knew Virginia Tech versus Penn State and Virginia versus Villanova. And Villanova has gone after Baltimore hard over the years. So not at all surprised that they got involved with this thing. They've always been involved with the Ripken Foundation, and they always come down. Jay Wright used to come speak here every year, and clearly they've had great success. Daniel Chefu and Phil Booth, among others, at Villanova over the years. And look, these are all schools that want to recruit. I mean, Malcolm Delaney at Virginia Tech. Ace Baldwin at Penn State, and all of these programs have had Baltimore kids. It makes all the sense in the world that they want to get involved in Baltimore. I've got no beef with them playing this event, and it's apparently a Basketball Hall of Fame event, so they're involved with this thing. That's fine. There's no interest from me. Like, I like college basketball, so like, if I had nothing else to do, maybe I would go. But I'm always in favor of big events for our city. So in that way, great. Get a bunch of people that are going to travel in and spend money in our hotels and restaurants, and that's good for the city. And that might be part of the thought process here is we want programs involved that people are going to travel and spend more money and spend dollars, and the tourism part of it. That's all on board. The other side of it is, specifically for Maryland, you can't just let all these other programs come waltzing in to market towards Baltimore. You got to step up and say, all right, y'all can have your night, but we got to be there too. And maybe it's not during the same event because this event appears to be set, but you got to do an event to get people to come check out Maryland in Baltimore. So that's my response to it. I think for the city, it's a very good thing. For Maryland, they now got to step up to the plate, and they got to say, how are we going to be involved? How are we going to do something? What's that going to look like for us? For the other schools in the area, they might want to play a game at the arena too, but it's not like Drexel's coming to play. Like, the schools that they're competing against are not the ones that are involved in this thing in Baltimore. So I'm sure I guess they probably want to be involved in the event. I'm sure if somebody asked Towson, hey, would you like to play a game against maybe a VCU at the arena, they'd say, yeah, we'd love to do that. But this is a little bit different for Maryland because these are the schools you're going up against for future Baltimore kids. So,
yeah,
you got to get in there. You got to get in there, and you got to make sure you're marketing to Baltimore and that you're, declaring your territory, if you will. All right, Tidbit is brought to you today by Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. Everything you love about the original Atman's, but also they have a full bar. Atman's Deli, Harbor Point. Find out more at atmansdeli.com.
Okay, Jordan Westberg homered.
Can we do a shortened version of Tidbit?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be pretty good. They came from the Masson broadcast yesterday. So, Orioles, he became the 7th Oriole to homer in his first plate appearance out of the leadoff spot.
First ever time he was a leadoff.
Mm-hmm. So the first time your first plate appearance,
no way,
as a leadoff hitter.
Too random.
He was the 7th to do it. There are 3 of them I've not heard of.
Okay.
I've not heard of these guys.
Okay.
3 others you should get. 2011, June 7th, 2011.
2011, first at bat. I'll say Adam Jones.
It's a good guess, not Adam Jones.
Nick Markakis.
Not Nick Markakis. He was an infielder.
An infielder in 2011. J.J. Hardy?
J.J. Hardy, correct. He was the last to do it.
Okay.
Before Westbrook. In 98 95, these are 2 guys I've not heard of.
98, 95, you've not heard of those guys. Boy, but I don't know what to make of that because you're young.
Right,
so it might be they were a prominent player.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they were.
98 Orioles leading off. So it's not like B.J. Surhoff.
No, it's not B.J. Surhoff. One's named Jeff. One is named.
Was it Jeff Rebele?
No, not Jeff Rebele.
Jeffrey Hammonds?
Nope.
Another Jeff that was on the 98 Orioles. This is the 95.
This is the 95 guy.
Jeff Manto?
Jeff Manto.
Oh, Jeff Manto, there's
Should I
a
know him?
historic. He hit like 5 home runs in the span of 4 games or something.
So
like
I don't need to know him.
Like
I mean, I
that's
should,
the
but
thing.
like
you might hear someone saying like this week you could say Adley Rutschman is on a Manto-esque. Like we always reference that. I think I saw Mark Viviano doing it recently, and I don't even remember what the actual number of home runs was in it.
The 98 fella, his name was Jesus. Or actually, I don't think there was an accent over the E, so maybe it's Jesus.
There was a Jesus?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Jesus Tavares.
I don't remember that person even a little bit.
June 13th, 1998. You remember that
No
day?
recollection of there being a Jesus Tavares.
First plate appearance as a ledoff hitter. Went yard.
Okay, good for
1976.
1976.
First plate appearance as an Oriole in...
that would predate Al Bunbury, right?
Yeah, it wasn't Al Bunbury.
1976 first.
Like he's not really known first time as an Oriole, but...
Not really known for some. Reggie Jackson?
Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson in 76.
Mhm.
Also in 76, actually, in April. So that was in August. In April of 76. I don't know this guy either. Maybe I should.
don't know this guy either.
But April of 1976. I think.
Doug DeCinces?
It was Tommy Harper.
Oh, okay, that's not. Yeah, it's not. You should not be ashamed of the fact that you don't know Tommy Harper.
And then in 67, I do know him.
Okay, 67.
June of 1967, first plate appearance in the leadoff spots.
Who came to the Orioles in 67? Was that Frank? No, he was no.
Yeah,
he was
and
66.
I guess he doesn't necessarily had to have come to the Orioles. Well, I guess.
Oh,
maybe
it
he
just
might, but-
happened to be the first time that he batted
Yes.
leadoff, right? So 67. So I'll try Frank.
No, not Frank.
Was it the first time Paul Blair hit leadoff?
It was Paul Blair.
All right.
It was Paul Blair. Well done.
All right,
Well
very
done.
good,
There
very
you
good.
go.
There was one other
illustrious list at Westbrook.
Yeah, it was a weird list. There's one other note that I saw yesterday. Sarah Lang said that it was the 4th game in Major League Baseball history where a team hit a leadoff home run and a walk-off home run and scored no runs in between. I mean, you couldn't possibly. I thought about maybe I'd give the players to stand tomorrow and see if we could name the team. In 83, Philadelphia, Joe Morgan leadoff, Ozzie Virgil with a walk-off grand slam. In 71, Oakland, Bert Campaneris with the leadoff, Reggie Jackson. How about that? Inside the park walk-off home run.
Wow.
Very weird. And in 1966, both given up by Sandy Koufax. Atlanta, Felipe Alou, and Eddie Matthews.
Well, they lose 2-1 like that.
Yeah. Actually, at that point in baseball history, guys just threw
Yeah. They
like
were
a
just
billion. If you were Sandy Koufax,
If you were on the mound, you were
correct.
closing the game.
Jim
as well.
Palmer was pitching.
Yeah.
Like
When we
that's
did the
way-
Orioles,
Yes.
they only used like 5 pitchers in that 9
That's
game
right.
stretch.
Right. That's the way it goes. All right. Very good. Now it's time for us to get tubular.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Obviously, the Orioles are off right now. Maryland women taking on Florida in the NCAA Lacrosse Tournament quarterfinals. And I meant to put it on so I could check the score. I screwed that up. That game down in College Park. The other quarterfinals are in the rest of the day. Yale, Syracuse, Boston College, Michigan, and Penn Northwestern. When the score pops up, tell me what it is. Maryland baseball opens their final regular season series of the season tonight on Big Ten Network Plus. They take on Penn State at 6. Round 1 of the PGA Championship right now on ESPN. And then later on tonight, the Nuggets try to close out the Timberwolves. Game 6 of that series is at 8:30 on ESPN. That's the only basketball game tonight. TNT and True TV, the Rangers try again to close out the Hurricanes. Game 6 at 7 o'clock. And Oilers-Canucks game 5 at 10 o'clock. Where is that series? What is that?
It's in Vancouver.
I know, but where?
It's is it 2-2? I think it's 2-2.
Okay.
It is 2-2.
Very good. Baseball today, Yankees Twins at 1, Mets Phillies 6:30, Reds Dodgers. Oh my. Wow. Reds
We wanna
Dodgers
report that
10:30 on
earlier?
MLB Network. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
1 quarter?
It's not good.
Oh.
Brutal start for Maryland.
It was Towson, Syracuse.
Kind
third
of,
quarter.
yeah.
Third
Kind
quarter
of
was
like
the
that.
first quarter here.
Brutal start. That's what I felt like doing the Farmingdale State Trinity game the other day. Although actually at this point it was already 13-0. Yikes.
They did force Florida to use a timeout early in the second, so that's good.
That's good.
Well
they got
done.
that going for them.
Keep it up.
MLB TV, Pirates Cubs 2:20, ESPN Plus, Athletics Astros 8, Amazon Prime, the Caitlin Clark's home debut tonight.
So this is why the Indiana Knicks game is tomorrow, because the Fever are playing tonight.
Is that right, or did it just work?
mean,
Is it the opposite?
Because they played on Tuesday.
Yeah, it'd be when they would play again. That's a good point. They do share an arena. All right, that's fair. And it's New York, Indiana. How about that? New York Liberty, Indiana Fever tonight at 7. And Access TV for Impact Wrestling at 8. Something non-sports?
Oh, a lot. It is CBS. You can go ahead and sit down. It is the series finale of Young Sheldon.
They're playing some. I think I talked about it. They've been running promos for it and playing some sappy song in the background.
You cancel your plans. It's a 2-hour finale on CBS.
Can't miss any
of Young Sheldon.
Oh, by the way, we started watching the MasterChef finale last night, Mrs. Clark and I, and about halfway through, she was like, I have to turn it off. I'm going to bed. I'm like, what the hell? I'm invested.
They kicked Elsbeth out of the rotation tonight. So
no.
Yeah. Because it's also the series finale of So Help Me Todd right after on Young Sheldon.
You know I'm not going to miss that.
Because, and now Stephen Colbert's having David Letterman. I think he heard you talking about, the only reason other have late night guests.
Be Letterman because he doesn't host a show.
He'll be on Colbert with Nora Jones.
Okay.
I had other stuff. Oh, Welcome to Wrexham, new episode of that.
It's Fridays on Hulu. That's what it is, which is annoying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They put it up. It's Thursday on TV, but not that I would watch it
so
until
wait
Friday
like 90
anyway.
minutes until it's available on demand. Peacock is going to have a baseball documentary, Bronx Zoo, 1990.
Oh, yeah.
So the crime, chaos, and baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, that's on Peacock about the 1990 Yankees.
I'm good, but sure.
Bridgerton Season 3 on
It was
Netflix.
quite tumultuous at that point.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bridgerton Season 3 on Netflix for all the Bridgerton fans out there.
That is big.
Reba McEntire is hosting the Academy of Country Music Awards on Prime Video at 8.
How about that?
Yes, this is her 17th
Aren't there
time.
like 6 country music award shows during the course of the year?
And
there's like the ACMs, the CMAs, the MACs. Like there couldn't be more. The CMTs. I just feel like there's
the
a
CMTs.
country music award show. But there's a lot of them. There's definitely a
there
CMA.
Might be 3.
There's
sure.
definitely a CMA and an ACM and a CMT. Those 3.
Yeah. There might be
sure.
3 of them. Sure.
That's a lot of country music awards.
This is her 17th time hosting. She's coming up on the record. Who has the most?
Who the hell? Dolly?
19. No, not Dolly. 19 times hosting.
I don't know.
Bob Hope.
Sure. That's a thing. Go ahead. Anything else?
Those are the highlights.
You gotta go. GlennClarkRadio.com. Find it all there. Thanks today to not even a loaded show. Trace Bright. Not that we had bad guests, just not a loaded show. Trace Bright, Billy Dwan, and you're about to hear from Tafara Gapare. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Stan's here tomorrow.
Yes.
Anything else tomorrow?
We'll catch up with Larry Colmus.
Yes, of course, Baltimore's own. Mount St. Joe, right, for Larry Colmus.
Yes.
But yet he's a Red Sox fan. F him. Yeah, I've never liked that. Of course, you know him as the legendary race caller for NBC for the Triple Crown races, so he'll be back home for the Preakness on Saturday.
And we'll preview Seattle in some way. But
All right. Stuff and things. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Visit Hagerstown in Washington County, Atman's Deli, A.J. Michaels.
Over the last couple of weeks,
Royal Farms. The Ed Block Courage Awards, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, MSAA, the Maryland Jockey Club, Glory Days Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass is how you follow him. Follow us at Glenn Clark Radio, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Have a great Thursday night. I would say go Maryland women, but I don't think we can really do much about it. It's great. Go Maryland baseball.
Epic comeback coming up.
Yeah, Duke sucks. When we wrap up today's show, speaking of Maryland, incoming Maryland transfer, Tafara Gapare, right now on GCR.
Well, over the last couple of weeks, we've been meeting the new members of the Maryland basketball team, the incoming transfers, and it's an opportunity to do that once again this morning here on GCR. As a world traveler, I can't wait to hear more about his story, but he comes in from Georgia Tech. He is power forward Tafara Gapare, and he is with us now here on GCR. Tafara, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude, and congratulations on becoming a Terp. Tafara, from New Zealand to Connecticut to UMass to Georgia Tech. Are you just now like trying to collect like every possible airport sticker that you can have or something like that, man? What a wild trip it's been for you.
No, it has for sure. No, I'm just trying to find the right place to call home, and I guess find a place to win, pursue my dreams, and make the most out of it.
Tafara, let's go back for a second before we get to Maryland. Like your path to basketball and to America from growing up in New Zealand. How did you come to the sport, and
When did you know, like, hey, I think I can do this?
I believe I was about 11 years old when my coach from back home said he sees a lot of potential in me, and I could be possibly the second person from New Zealand to make it to the NBA.
Yeah, right. And that sounded pretty good to you. And you said, "All right,
Yeah,
I guess I'll take that seriously." Then.
Yeah, for sure.
So you obviously at that point knew that you wanted to pursue getting to America. What did it look like the next couple of years for you to come over here and finish high school? What was that process like?
It was a very long process. So when I was about 12, 13 years old, I started coming to Vegas with an academy that we had over there every year for AAU tournament for about 2 weeks. We'd play in those games and then go back home. And each year was just about building our confidence and becoming better as players.
And obviously that seemed to work. It looked like it got you to where you are now. Here's Tafara Gapare. Yeah. He's with us here on GCR. Tafara, you mentioned the second player, right? Like, is Steven Adams someone that you've ever gotten to know, or someone that you've tried to like model your game after in any sort of way?
Actually, me and Steven Adams are like, we're close in a way. He gave me a scholarship to go to his high school in New Zealand.
That's huge.
Yeah.
What did that mean for you at that point in your life? And, you know, again, trying to follow kind of his path and become the second one to do it. Like, how significant has he been for you?
He's a great person to me. There and there, just checking on each other to see how we're doing. But it meant a lot when he gave me that scholarship. It just showed that he was very invested in who I am as a kid and what he sees in me.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really cool. All right, so Tafara, you get to America, you end up at UMass and then at Georgia Tech. Walk me through the decision now a little bit deeper into your career, and after getting kind of more of a significant run last season, why was it the right time for you to make a move again, and then why was it Maryland that was the right place for you to be?
I believe Maryland is more like home to me. I actually came here and played for Team Mello, the AAU team. Played in some EYBL sessions, and I was staying here. I guess I came to Maryland because the coaches have been recruiting me for a couple of years, never really took the opportunity and seek to go other places. But now we're here and ready to get to work.
Tafara Gapare, incoming Maryland transfer, with us here on GCR. Tafara, we saw kind of, particularly in the second half of last season, that what we all knew as far as your talent and your potential, you started really having some breakout games and some double-digit scoring games and mixing in 10 rebounds. Did you feel like, was there something that got more comfortable? Was it just an opportunity? What were we seeing in the second half of last season, and how confident are you that that's what you're going to bring moving forward here at Maryland?
I believe last year's team at Georgia Tech, it really started with me impacting the game in all types of different areas. It wasn't really the same. They didn't have a second player like me. So I guess I had to really sit down and think about how I could impact the game, where I could impact the game, how I could help this team win. And that was just doing the little things, rebounding, affecting shots, and running the floor, spacing the floor, setting screens, getting guys open. So just building confidence, off the court especially, releasing the stresses, releasing all the tension that I have up on my shoulders, just playing more comfortable.
We know that you are a capable outside shooter, right? Like, we've seen you knock down shots, but is that an area where you still feel like, you know, being kind of that stretch four, where, maybe we still haven't even seen as much as what you're capable of doing there?
Yeah, definitely a lot of work to be done there. Percentages won't show it. But definitely something that I'm working on this summer, as it is my first summer in America due to being injured during the summer last year.
Okay.
And missing my first summer before I went to UMass, which is a huge plus for me now.
I was going to say, so how are you going to spend your summer? Who are you going to work out with? How are you going to, use this time in order to get the best version of Tafara Gapare?
There's a lot of people around Maryland that know me, so definitely getting to work with a lot of the coaches around school, and just building that confidence every day, getting better, building every day 1% better.
That's cool. So you obviously saw that a year ago, while it was a difficult season for Maryland, they never packed it in defensively. They were extremely hard out defensively all season long. Do you feel like you can play at that standard and say, hey, yeah, I'm willing to sell out and I will do the work necessary to play on that side of the floor?
Yeah, most definitely. Definitely brings me back to my AAU days. That's how we played, just switching everything, playing out in the perimeter a bit more, pressuring the ball. So definitely a bigger step compared to what it was at my old school. We were a little passive on going out and playing defense out of the perimeter.
So, it's a largely new group of guys, right? Like, it's you and Jacoby and Selton and, a few guys that were together a year ago, obviously, and Julian and Deshaun Harris-Smith. But how do you make up for that? Like, how does a team I guess, one, do you know any of these guys ahead of time? And two, what is it that you guys can do to try to get moving a little bit quicker with a largely new group of guys together?
Yeah, I actually met Juju on my first visit, which was 2022, started 2022.
Okay.
And I also played against Derek Queen summer of 2022.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know a couple of them. The other guys coming in definitely, from what I've seen on film, definitely have a huge impact on the game. Selton with his scoring, coming off the bench, 6th man of the year. That's a big plus. Jacoby and Rodney Rice, both guards, so they can make a big impact. For me, I guess just finding the way that I can impact the game, especially on defense. It doesn't necessarily have to be scoring all the time.
You mentioned that first visit. Did you feel any amount after that point, you decided to go elsewhere? Was that still in the back of your mind at all? Like, man, I really did kind of like the vibe there. Did I make a mistake not deciding to go to Maryland the first time? Like, did you feel any of that over the last couple of years?
Unfortunately, the first time that I went on a visit was when Coach Turgeon had just got fired.
Ah, so it's a little bit of an awkward time to make a decision like that.
Yeah. So I took time to go to a prep school in Connecticut for about 5 months and started to rack up some offers while I was playing you. So that second visit that year was when Coach Willard had just arrived on campus. So I felt like I would take another route, which I guess didn't work out too well. But, again, we're back in Maryland now. Feels more like home and ready to get to work.
I wondered if before we, could you tell us a little bit more when you say it feels a little bit more like home, right? Like I don't think it's because there's like an overwhelming, New Zealand population in the area. Not to say there aren't folks from New Zealand in the area, but it's not a massive population. What is it about Maryland? Maybe there, and I do think there's a bit of an international flavor in the area, and maybe not uniquely New Zealand. But what is it about Maryland that to you makes it feel like home for you?
I feel like during the time that I was playing AAU here, I built this little name for myself, earned some respect and from some people that I would never thought I would have respect from. So they were very welcoming, and yeah, like I said, it's good to be around people that you know. Good to be around people that want to invest their time in you. So
that's cool, man. That's really, really cool, and I think it makes all the difference in the world. All right, before we let you go, Tafara Gapare, we got to get to know you. So first of all, like, what's something that try as you might, like food-wise, you haven't been able to replicate? What's the thing that you miss most about home from a food perspective?
I hate to criticize, but definitely just non-processed food.
Okay, I understand that, man. Like we got a problem with that in this country, bro.
Yeah.
It's not good, man. It is not good. I understand that entirely. And then what do we need to know about you, right? Like away from basketball, when you're not hooping, what are you into? What do you do with your time? What are you watching? Anything like that?
To be honest, I'm really just chilling at home. Like to get on the game, and just watching a lot of basketball on YouTube, stuff like that. Not too much.
I mean, you sound like it's basketball's life, man. Like, and I appreciate that. And obviously, you're grinding for a passion and for something that you want to live out. Tafara Gapare, we're really excited about seeing you here at Maryland, getting to know you a little bit more. I know on Twitter it's at Tafara_Gapare5. What about on Instagram? Where can Maryland fans be giving you a follow?
Tafara.Gapare.
Tafara.Gapare. And again, that's TAFARAGAPARE. Tafara, congratulations on being a Terp, man. Really looking forward to seeing you this fall. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.